Well, good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing tonight? Welcome to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Welcome to the gray area. My name is Mr. Bennett or Paul Bennett. Like I said, I don't have an alter ego, but I'm joined by my partner in crime here, Peter, aka Grooming and Reviews, aka Paniotis. I'm getting used to that. I put a little bass in it. So I appreciate you sharing the stage with me tonight, aka the Ghost of Sparta. I got to throw that in there as well. But how are you doing tonight, my brother?
Oh, I am great. I can't wait for tonight. I can't wait for
Yeah,
everybody to
this is
start asking questions. This is gonna be a
yeah,
fun one.
absolutely. This is we did a little switcheroo. We had a initially we were going to show, and we're still looking to do that show. We were actually going to be bringing a couple on the show, the husbands from Liberia, which I don't think I've ever met anybody in my life from Liberia, but
Me
I
neither,
did
to
a
be
little
honest with you.
research on it, and so I'm definitely looking forward to a future exchange with them. And he's married to an American woman, and they're both in the chiropractic field. So definitely
Oh
looking
wow.
forward to bringing those guys on. Yeah, I wore the see. I set up the background real nice. I put the nice shirt on. I was gonna be high and tight tonight, ready for that conversation. And again, I'm definitely looking forward to it for a future broadcast. And we'll just make sure that we make it better and we're even more prepared when we bring those guys on. But tonight's going to be a first tonight for us because we're actually going to open up the phone lines tonight, and we're going to so you guys can come in and grill us Q&A just on our backgrounds, our experiences, some of the purposes for the show. And so we are, so we're excited about the opportunity. So later on, after we do our intros, we're going to drop a link, but we're just going to kick it tonight. But we're going to drop the link so folks want to come on up, cam up, and dialogue with us, and in terms of how the show came about or anything you want to know about us personally. Then by all means, chime in because again, and especially if you come from a different perspective. So far in this, we talked about education, how the school system growing up. We talked about growing up. We talked about marriage, between Greek and American culture. And
Hmm.
again, now, in just to give a plug, in 2 weeks, because next week we're taking the show off because of the Super Bowl, and I know the Super Bowl is going to be in there, so a lot of people are going to be having parties. But I'm going to have a bunch of guys over for Super Bowl Sunday, so we're going to take a pause for next week. But then you can come, Pete, if you want.
I was like, "Where's my invite? What the hell? We're
You're
supposed to
more
be
than welcome to come, my
we're
brother.
supposed to be like
I
ride or
thought you were host.
die."
I
When
thought
like
you were holding your own party, but yeah, I thought you had that on lock. But now you are more than welcome to come and join the crew. But some of my old friends are going back 30 some years, so they're coming over for a super, and their sons are coming over. So, but you are more than welcome to come to my house. I don't think you're about an hour away from me. You're probably less than an hour away from me. So
yeah, we know what I said this off air. I'm gonna say this live. One of these days, me and you are gonna have to do the show live together in the same room,
I'm
mano a
down.
mano,
I am
and
totally.
that should be a cool show.
I am
Actually, seeing each
totally
other in
I am
person.
totally down with that. Yeah, you're down, if anyone familiar with New York, I mean Jersey and PA, you hop on I-78 West and I run into you, and vice versa. You take 78 East up, get on 287. I'm exit 9 off of exit 10 off of 287. So we're less than an hour away. So absolutely we could look forward to doing shows in person but I want to see more of that kind of stuff just within the whole BMU network. I want to do a barbershop where we get all the guys who come in on barbershop. If we could
We
do it
need a
in a
referee for
barbershop,
that. We need a referee for that one.
I got a friend down the street who owns a barbershop. I might be able to work out a deal with him to say, hey, we want to do our show from your barbershop. So we'll have the barbershop chairs, we'll have the whole thing. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? We could rock it from there. So I would be very jacked to do something like that where we get all these guys together in one room and see how the free for all goes in that situation. I'm totally stoked for that. But yes, but for us, we can definitely set up some future great areas where we have this conversation. But what I was leading up to was
Mhm.
in 2 weeks, our next show is going to broach the subject of religion and grooming and reviews. He actually was able to get his. Now, do you guys call him a pastor or a preacher? How do you guys
Father, um,
father? So
Father Costadinos. That's his. One question I do have for him, I'm not sure to answer this, so I'm gonna put it out there now so I can
mhm,
answer him. I don't know if when he becomes a priest, if his
mhm.
name changes. I know some religions do that. I'm
Right,
not
right.
sure if that's our Orthodox does that. I'm in the blue. Some things
Gotcha.
myself. That's one thing.
All
Um,
right. Well, we're gonna have
but
him on in a couple weeks, and we're gonna be talking about religion generally. So again, I know very little about Greek Orthodox Church. I know it's the dominant church in Greece, and just to have an exchange. I come from a Protestant tradition, and just being able to, again, obviously, we're all, Jesus Christ is our Savior. We all claim that. So hopefully to find some gray area, but also some of the nuances between the Church of the East and the West. So I'm definitely looking forward to that conversation. The only thing I would ask,
believe it or not,
yeah,
Paul, it's not a fun fact really fast. At 1054, the church is actually separated. So
right,
we're over to the math from there.
yeah,
So at one time, all churches all religions was from one
one
church.
church, yeah, and they
Yeah.
split off, and then you had the
So
yeah.
and at 10, it makes you wonder if that split never happened, how would religion be today?
That's a great question. That is a great question. But I think it's almost natural to an extent. And again, I don't want to give too much of the conversation away, but it's just like in martial arts, right? Like most of martial arts trace down to one root, you know, and then everybody based on their experience, based on their, knowledge of where things, or just based on their abilities. I mean, like Bruce Lee used to say, not everyone's 6'5" or 5'11" or
Hmm.
whatever. Everyone's going to have a different style just based on your mechanics. Not everyone's as fast as someone else. Some people are stronger than others. So I think the separation is almost a natural occurrence that occurs, just like you have a tree that everyone has a root, but then you have the branches that grow from that. So I think it's almost natural to do that. But
Yeah,
the
they evolve.
question, yeah,
The
what's that?
evolution and evolve is going to happen no matter
Exactly,
what.
exactly.
Like
But the
Bruce is a great
question still is
example.
gonna be how we gonna get along with one another, and how we can also
That's the question.
point everything back down to the root. What's really important in life, besides our own little differences or whatnot. And again, it happens in all kinds of churches. The Protestant church has 500 different varieties to it. So I think part of it's natural, but can we find the gray area where we can bind some of this bickering that's keeping people separated and people looking at us like, what are you guys doing over there? Because we're not setting a good image over here. So I'm looking forward to that exchange. The only thing I would ask your father ahead of time, I like to keep these things light. We're having a discussion. So if he has a sense of humor, that would be fantastic.
He
Because
does actually overall, because I know the one story he told me once. He was at a gas station and somebody asked him, "What are you trying to be a priest?" He goes, "Actually, I am a priest." He goes, "I'm like, that's
Does that go?
hilarious."
Well, I'm sure that guy never asked that question again.
Yeah.
But yeah, but keeping a
Yeah.
little levity, I
Yeah, oh
think,
yeah, he's
yeah.
good with that. Overall, he understands. He's open minded and stuff like. He's from Philly actually originally,
Oh, okay.
so he has a pretty open minded because down there, I
That's it.
know
Yeah.
you have to be. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think with this type of exchange that we're doing, I think you have to come to it honest, meaning that yes, you can be very proud of your background and your culture that you come from, but also need to be able to look at it objectively
I
and
agree.
with humor. I mean, because there's some things that in the Black ADOS community that make no sense to anybody, and I'm sure there's things in the Greek community as well. So
Oh
again, to
God,
be
yeah.
able to in order to be able to take all that in, and you have to be able to laugh at yourself. Someone gave me some advice a long time ago. It's like, don't take yourself too seriously. It's really not. It's really not that. It's not that worth it. But if you can find the humor in your life, I think those people have just less stress overall. But some people are so serious that it's, and you feel the tension when you get into the room with them. It's like, but if we can laugh at one another and and just go for exploration, I think everybody would be much better off. So, but again, thanks for everybody coming to the room tonight. If you notice the scroll on the bottom there, those are our cash apps. Again, if you're enjoying the content of the show, certainly you're more than welcome to any gift that you give us in the cash app. We appreciate, and we also appreciate the people who decide to join us tonight. So just looking in the chat, we have roller skater Texas girl. Appreciate you coming in and seeing us. You might have been the first in tonight, so good evening. Stacy B79, who follows you everywhere.
Our
What is with this? She is
personal cheerleader.
follows you. It doesn't matter what show you're on. She's just everywhere with you, man. She rocks with you, man. Like that.
I give her
So
credit. She's a good cheerleader, a good supporter of the show, and I think I need to get a restraining order now. Thank you very much.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or y'all near to San Antonio? No, we are northeastern boys. I am in central New Jersey. And like I said, grooming, he is down 78 west going
Yeah,
into
I'm in PA.
eastern PA.
Yep.
So we have now my family is from the deep south. Both my parents, they're from southern Georgia, Bainbridge, Georgia, and a little small town called Mayhaw. I don't think it has less than 1,000 people in it even today. Mayhaw, Georgia. So they're definitely in the rural south. All my family is pretty much from there. But in the 50s, after my dad got out the army, he had moved up to the north to find work. And so he got work with Western Electric, and when he secured that, he bought this big, I mean, huge, big two-family, multi-family house, and he just became the gateway, because then a lot of my aunts and uncles, they all moved up here in the late 50s and 60s, and they all got settled. They stayed with my dad and my mom at the time until they were able to get jobs. So they got jobs at Ford and GM plants and that sort of thing. So once they got established, then they bought their homes and moved out. But my parents were very instrumental in a lot of my relatives coming up to the South. And since then, a lot of them moved back to the South after retirement and everything. But they certainly were big factors for them, for their upward mobility, leaving the rural South and leaving the farm and being able to find employment in the West. So, and then I actually, for a long time, I didn't even know about that, because again, I'm the youngest in my family by 6.5 years. So a lot of stuff I got told later, but I didn't get a chance to grow up and see it. My siblings, though, I'm envious of them, because they were actually able to see a lot of that transition and see people come up, and the house was full of the cousins and the relatives and whatnot. And unfortunately, I missed a lot of that experience. But when I learned about that from my dad, it just gave me a sense of pride in knowing that, they were definitely keys to, helping everybody out. And, there was definitely that strong sense of community there. So definitely, not from the South, but I have Southern roots. And also, shout out to my 7B brother Trey Ferg. Good to see you in here tonight. I know you're on the road, so again, stay safe out there. And hopefully, if you get a chance, once you settle in, if you get a chance to join us on the line, we'd love to have you. We'd love to have you on with us tonight. And again, in a short period of time, again, we're going to drop the link. So if people want to come up on the panel and join us, any Q&A that you may have or any thoughts you may have on your specific story, if you come, especially, we love hearing stories. If you come from a specific ethnic background, Italian, Jewish, whatever it is, just based on some of the things that we've talked about so far, we'd love to hear your stories as well. And again, we're looking for the gray area across humanity. And so we look forward to that. But
Anything you don't disagree with what I had to say earlier in the earlier episodes, or you want your opinion to put in, this is your good opportunity to come in and say why. I'm all happy. I'm all happy having a mature, respectful conversation with anybody.
that's what's up. That's what's up. This is definitely a show. I mean, from the onset, we wanted to set a certain and temperature for this show. So this is not about hostile debate. We are here for cultural exchange. We want to learn from one another. And again, the crazy thing about this, again, BMU, and again, shout out to BMU for everything that he does in this space here. But think about two guys who are very, very different from backgrounds, but we found each other in this space. And just the commonality that we have. I mean, we were rocking on your show last night, in the game room, talking about cartoons that we grew up watching and the evolution of cartoons over time. We've talked about Star Wars versus Star Trek. We are nerds. Like I said, we are like the Big Bang Theory to the back. So we're nerds in that way. And this is also for another upcoming show. I already put it in your ear already. One show that we have to talk about in the future is on pets, because we ironically, both Grooming and I are proud beagle parents. We both own beagles. And that is something that I never would have, known or heard, because I don't know anybody. I know one person in my neighborhood that owns a beagle, but I don't know anyone else who's had them. And I think they're just such wonderful dogs.
They are.
That,
Fun fact here.
yeah,
I told you I had another dog before. My last dog
yeah,
was, his name was Hercules. He was
okay,
half dachshund, half beagle.
mm,
So unfortunately, when he got sick, it was sudden. It was like 1 minute he was fine, next minute is not. It was
yeah,
brain cancer. So I
right,
really love the small breeds, because you can, if you want to go somewhere, you can go with them. It's like a big dog. It's kind of hard to travel if you need to with a dog.
yeah.
Personal
Beagle,
opinion again.
absolutely. No, the beagle for me is the perfect dog. It's the
Yeah.
right size. It's about 25 to 30 pounds. You can pick them up because they can be very stubborn. When that nose gets going
Oh
somewhere,
my god, don't get me started.
sometimes you just have to pick them up. So they're big enough. I mean, they're small enough where you can pick them up and handle them, but they're not so small. Like I didn't want one of those teacup size Yorkies or Maltesers or something like that. I may sit on it one day. He might be buried in the couch or whatever. I may plop down. I may crush it. So that was always a fear of mine because my kids they were like, "Oh, can we get a Yorkie? Can we get?" Because my niece she had a Yorkie for years, who unfortunately just passed away a
Mhm.
couple months ago. But and that dog lived forever. It's like 18-year-old dog. I mean, really, she was blind and everything, but she was a trooper. But obviously, I would crush that dog, and I just couldn't.
They're
So
very
so a big.
popular for some reason. I don't know why. They're not bad dogs. Well, my neighbor
Mhm,
has one. I have a bunch of people
right,
in apartment complex I live in have them, and there's nothing wrong with them. I'm just a big fan of them. I love beagles, dachshunds, those kind of size dogs. I think they're perfect.
right,
Even basset hounds. I think they're great
yeah,
dogs.
yeah, yeah,
I like the long ears flapping around
yep,
and all that stuff. And like
absolutely.
Hercules, oh my god, he had the balls of steel. Alex, he's like a little pussy. I go, I joke around, like I'm like raising my voice a little bit, joking around, and like seriously, get out of here! Come on, be a man for once. Your name is after Alexander the Great, not Alexander the Pussy.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
And so he
Yeah,
hides, and like,
nah,
but again, he's a dog. Well, the funniest story I had with Hercules was my mom. I wasn't home. I was at work one day, and he had a habit of shoving his face between my mom's ass cheeks for some reason. I don't know why.
what?
Yes, Hercules loved doing that. So my mom one day she goes, "She had enough of that shit." She goes, "I'm gonna fart at him." She goes, "I'm like, you're not." All right, so every time she farted, and I go,
Oh my god!
he goes,
Oh my god!
"I have it on camera too." I'm like, "No,
Oh
she did
my
not." So ever since then, Hercules used to turn a reverse, plop his ass against her ass. Now he would pay back. He used to fart.
oh gosh!
Have you ever smelled a dog's fart?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
You know
But
how
see,
bad
mine,
they are.
he be dropping it like the what's that gas you can't see the rayon gas or what it's like you can't see it like they have the detectors in your home where you can't the detectors.
The oxides, something is called. I know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he be dropping them silent ones where you be just going around about your business, you don't hear nothing or whatever, and it just comes out or whatever. And it's like, oh, by the time you figure it out, you're almost knocked out. So he be dropping them silent ones in the in
Dude,
the
I remember one time he was sitting right next to me, and we're on the barber shop. I remember I said in the back chat, like, dude, guys, I got to step. Give me 5 minutes. My dog just ripped the ass. I look at that. I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm thinking, I'm gonna kick your ass.
mm,
And he knows because he runs and hides. I'm going like, where are you? I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm not gonna kick my dog's ass, but
right.
I don't think anybody
I hear
abuses my
you.
dog. I'm not. But does
Yeah, I
your
hear you.
jump high? By the way, that's a question I have for you.
He used to. Now, when we first got him, we got him, he was about 17, he was 10 months old. He was about 17 and a half pounds when we got him.
Mhm.
And yeah, he was a big leaper. He doesn't do as much now. He's 5 years old. He'll be 6 this year. So he doesn't jump as much. In fact, we actually changed our bed. Our bed used to be a platform bed, and it was a bit.
Mhm.
It might have been like 6 inches lower than the bed we have now. It's still a platform, but it's a little bit high. And we also got one of those big memory foam mattresses. It's like 15, 16 inches thick or whatever.
Okay, okay.
So he doesn't. So every now and then, when he's really excited, he can still jump up on the bed. On the old one, he would just jump on that thing all the time. And so he can still get it when he's motivated to do it, but he's also developed a little hip arthritis in the hip. So we giving him a deli supplement to help with the hip, hip arthritis or whatnot. So he's showing his age a little bit, but yeah, but he's still he can still get when he gets the zoomies, especially when you get home, come home, he gets the zoomies. It just starts running all over the place and everything. So he's very still very active in that regard. But bottom line, he sleeps probably 16 hours a day though, because especially when I used to work remotely from home for all those years, I like my computers. He'd be like right here, just
Mhm.
snoring like anything. So until he went out, that's when he became a lot more active. But most of the time, he spent most of his day. Sleeping. But got a couple questions in the chat here. It says, "Whose dog is overweight?" Well, according to at least according to my dog is consistent. He's weighing in about 27 pounds right now, 27 and a half. So he's at a good healthy weight. But yeah, but one thing about beagles, they will eat just about anything that you give them at any time. And even after they eat, they want your food. So they're very easy to overfeed and get fat if you give them too many table scraps and that sort of thing. So you really have to be mindful of that. And, you need to work off a lot of that energy that they have. But my dog has been, I think the heaviest he ever got was maybe 32 pounds. But then, he slimmed down a little bit. So he's around 27, 28 right now. How about
Well,
yours?
so Alex is not purebred. We find out he has a mixture of Basset Hound. So he's at 25 pounds and he doesn't go up or down. He just stays right at 25. Very
Hmm.
hyper dog. Like when he gets to zoomies, he goes up and down and just there all, like for 20 minutes. So I play with him all the time. I throw the ball. Not have an issue with him. With weight wise. So he's good. He actually looks like a mom, like he has muscle on him. If that makes
Oh, yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Same,
I
same with
just sent
mine.
you actually a picture, a video on
Oh,
a
gosh.
messenger, him snoring. I don't know if you can share it because I know I have a hard time sharing on my side.
All right, let me see if I can do that to share it out. But go ahead, keep. But as far as the diet, as far as the eating,
So
again, does yours, what do you feed yours?
I am changing his food right now to a taste of the wild. My not the vet I have now, the old vet was a big fan of that, and Hercules did really well with that food. So I'm in the process of switching.
Mhm.
I all my dogs. This is how I always trained them. I fully bowl in the morning. You can go eat. I give him a big bowl, actually, a little bigger one than he's supposed to. So he has a little food through the day.
Right.
So he, running around, he goes eat. That's how my dog's always been. He takes a couple bites, goes back to sleep, wakes up, does whatever he does around the house, goes a couple bites and stuff like that. But what Alex has, I don't know if your dog has it. He has a huge separation anxiety.
Mine not as much. He can get kind of content. It's like, okay, as long as not everyone's here. Like when you're home, he wants to be like he's literally in front of my desk right now. He's just hanging out. He
Mhm.
just wants to be in the same room where you're at. But we haven't had the anxiety issues as far as him tearing up stuff or being destructive or any of that. So we haven't seen that. I mean, yes, you definitely need to keep stuff off the floor. If you have a slipper on the floor, especially my kids, they got those Uggs, those really nice Uggs. That's like he left them on the floor, and he got into them one time, and my daughters were pissed. But it's like, look, you got to keep that stuff out of view because he will go for a slipper or whatever. So you better keep your nice shoes out of the out of his reach. But so far so good. But having said that, because my wife works pretty local and she works remotely a couple days a week. I work remotely a couple days a week. No one's really been out of the house for like long periods of time. The
Mhm.
last year we went on vacation, that was the first time we actually had to hire a dog sitter for him. So we went to like Rover and we found somebody not too far away, stayed the weekend, and she had a good working relationship with dogs. She kept foster dogs. She had a dog of her own. So that was the first time we were really ever away from him for any extended period of time. And he was fine. He was fine with that. So yeah, so I definitely wouldn't leave him any place. If I'm going overnight, I would certainly leave him with somebody. But just doing the day, going to work and coming home, no, he's been pretty good. But he's been pretty good
Mhm.
about that.
So it depends on who leaves. If I leave, he's like, he's going home. He's going to work. No big deal. Like walk me, give me my treats. I'm good. Um, so that he's good. When my mom leaves the house because she's always home, he freaks out. So I have to literally get him out the house, give him like a small walk or a walk, like a second
Mm,
walk to get his mind off it and get her in
mm,
the car at the
right.
same time as a pain in the ass.
Mm,
So, and that's what I've been doing. It's working a little bit better than he would cry for hours till we get home, like howling, crying. I'm like, yo, my name is old. Like, my mom's out at a doctor's office like that. But he has huge separation anxiety comes when she comes to her.
right.
But now do you kind of treat you keep them?
Um, there's this actually we got these treats we get from two places. We got this one place from Walmart and they have these chews what's it called? O'Brien's or something like that. But it's these chews. One's got liver like a center, one has a peanut butter center, one has a chicken
Okay.
center. And we don't even give him a whole one, so we'll split it up into pieces and we'll give it to him. Usually I give him one after his walk. And then there's these these sticks that he gets. There's a local pet store down the road from us, and they get these sticks, and it's like again chicken, pork, beef, whatever, and we'll cut that up, and we'll give that to him maybe as a midday snack. So he gets a snack after his morning walk, and he may get like another snack, one of those stick snacks, in the afternoon. But mostly we feed him once a day after his evening walk. You know, we feed him then, and he's good with the one meal a day. We were giving him 2 meals a day, morning and splitting it up, and we decided just give it to him at night. The only thing we had to change was because for a while, in fact, when we first got him, we gave him like real food, like
Oh no, no,
gave when we
no.
got him, they gave us some kibble initially, which he just was not taking to very well. So we were doing like I would get like ground turkey, tuna, chicken, mix in some veggies with it. Like literally, we were making our own homemade pet food for a while. But his vet was like she wanted us to put him on a more dog food diet, so we went to the more not the canned stuff, not the kibble
Hmm.
stuff, but the stuff that's kind of like in the refrigerator.
Oh,
So
that
we
stuff you cook yourself.
no, well, you don't have to cook it. It's already made, but it's like
Okay.
the more not like this food you see online, but it's kind of like made with like real stuff.
Yeah,
And so
yeah, I
we
know what you're
mix a
talking about.
so we mix a little bit of chicken in. So we still do the chicken. So we'll get some chicken tenders or some cutlets, slice that up. We'll put maybe it's like 40%, 30% chicken, more like 20% chicken now, and like 75, 80% of the dog food, and we'll mix that up and let him eat that. But generally, like I say, kibble he will not eat. And I remember getting invested. I got this big giant bag of 25-pound bag of kibble, and he just will not touch it. But if you want his heart, he'll eat beef. Like
Crazy, yeah.
ground beef is almost like special. Like for his birthday, like we'll give him like a ground beef meal, or if he's been really good that day, we went and say, come on, I'll give him some ground beef or whatever. You mix that in with his dog food, he's in heaven. I mean, so any kind of beef, or a steak. If I'm eating a steak, if I got a T-bone and I have like the bone left over,
Hmm.
he loves eating the bones and the the excess meat off the bone and whatnot. So we pretty much real food. And the main reason for that was, especially when you started looking at the more expensive ones, I'm like, it's really not worth it. Like the science diet and the these high end dog foods. I'm like, it's like I'm spending like $8 a can for this dog food that I'm like, how's the dog even eat this? So I was like,
So,
I would rather feed him a natural or homemade diet than going out there and spending all this money on these expensive brands that at the end of the day he's not going to eat, and I don't know if it's even better for
so with Alex and Hercules, I give him a little, chicken, rice, stuff like that. Nothing crazy.
him.
Uh, fun fact actually, what I wanted to do at one time is open my own natural custom made dog food company.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
looked
That's the
into it
race right
like,
now.
yeah, I looked into it like there's so many out there, and it's too how much money you need to invest into it. And like, yep, good,
Right.
nope, I'm good. Like, BMU, if you want to invest, we can talk offline. I know you're the man on the money here.
Right, right.
So, but yeah, no, too much money. But I keep remembering that about one thing I learned recently about 6 months ago, and it goes ape shit for it, and your dog will too. Liver tips. You get them from any pet store, PetSmart,
Mhm,
Petco.
mhm.
They come in a bag. The beef ones he goes really crazy for. The
Yeah,
chicken he
yeah.
likes them. He goes, he's okay with it. I'm like, too bad you're gonna eat them now, buddy. Um,
Right, right.
so they're very low on fat, high on protein. I think the fat is like 1.0, like so low it's not even funny.
Mhm.
Um, he loves them. Like he gets one every morning. That's his
Right.
treat after he goes go up because, and it also helped in his stomach a little bit because he had loose stools, believe it or not, and
Mhm.
they were saying they couldn't figure it out, so it came from that, and that helped him out a little bit. So I don't have an issue, but when I walk him, that's the only. This is the issue I always have with him. When he gets locked on that smell, nothing is gonna stop him.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's literally
yeah.
trying to drag me. Like, you're not dragging me, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not now. If I had like now, the my ideal that like growing up, I always wanted like a golden retriever or a Labrador retriever. That was like the big
Husky, I wanted.
thing. And it's weird. After we got him, we would we take him to the dog park fairly often, and just being around those bigger dogs, I'm like, no. I mean, this is, so again, if I had one of those 60, 70 pound, I mean, especially around here, everybody wants like a Rottweiler or a pit or something like that. And I'm like, those are powerful dogs. Like I can imagine, especially my youngest daughter, she's still a size 1. If she had a bigger dog, he would literally be dragging her down the street. So I'm happy that again, about a 30 pound, 25, 30 pounds. He's the perfect size. And so even when he gets stubborn or whatever, it's like, up, all right, you just have to redirect him. So I'll pick him up and I'll carry him about 10 feet or whatever, put him down, and then he's off to the next thing. It's almost like he snaps out of it as soon as I just redirect him in another direction. But that would be a problem if I had a bigger dog.
So some fun things I think our dogs are different. My dog will not touch his shoes or sandals. He's over that stage a long time ago. Like when he first got him, yeah, he would destroy everything on the floor.
Mhm.
But one thing my dog doesn't like is bones.
Really?
Like yeah, he will take it, he will sniff it. I'm not talking about steak bones. I'm talking like any kind of bone, like treat wise. Like I
Oh,
bought
okay.
this, like for his teeth. Like they help him. They're supposed to like keep him nice and fresh and brushing the
Mhm,
teeth, kind of
mhm.
chew toy.
Yeah,
He hides it. Even the milk bones, he goes hide those bones.
right.
Like one day I'm in the couch. Look at this couch right behind me. I'm like, the hell is this? I found like 6 bones hid under the blanket. I'm like, you
I
son of
know.
a bitch. I
I
looked at
know.
him like he's out. And I'm like, uh-huh. Like I just so I stopped getting to him. I don't get any bones like that. He might after he eats the meat off it,
Mhm.
off the bone, he won't chew the bone. He'll go hide it
Right.
again. He does not like bones. I don't get it. I
Gotcha.
have a weird
Now
fucking
now
dog.
does he eat the marrow out of it? Because mine, he'll work a bone if he can get to the marrow, he'll work the bone until he gets to the marrow. That he will do.
No, he would just eat the meat off it,
Just to
lick it
be
off.
off the bone and then
Yeah.
clean it off and then that's about
I
it.
get well, okay, leg of lambs. Greeks are big in leg of lambs, so the bone is like this freaking big and about this
Mm,
thick. You're not going
mhm.
through that. I don't care. It'll be there for hours. And like, and he would, Hercules, he will go through it in 3 hours, and
Wow, okay.
he would sit there. I'm like, I remember I got Hercules literally a bone this big, this tall, and he used to walk
Wow.
around prancing around. Anytime I go through the door, clink, he go clink, and I'm like, he trying to figure out how to go through the door, and he couldn't get through with it, how big it
I
is.
hear you. I hear you.
But Hercules used to destroy any bone. But Alex, he doesn't give a shit about bones. Now give him a freaking piece of meat. Oh, he would destroy your arm for that.
Mhm.
But he's the sweetest dog ever. Actually, Stacy has met Alex, and she can tell you how sweet he is.
Yeah. Yeah, beagles just as a breed, I've never heard a problem with the breed. They're
No,
good with people, they're good with other dogs. So again, that was something, and he loves everybody who comes over. He goes crazy every time the doorbell rings. You go to the doorbell, he has to greet everybody. And he's just a
he's
fearless
the
thing.
same
So
way.
he just has to, and he doesn't bark any other time. Now beagles are known for like yodeling and howling and baying and
Oh,
stuff like that, but
Alex barks.
mine doesn't. The only time he barks is when the doorbell rings, or if he's right next to you and he wants the food. If you're not paying attention, he'll snap at you like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm waiting for that. Throw that next
Treat.
table scrap down."
Yeah.
But other than that, he's very. But I think now mine came from a. And again, I won't give too much away, but he came from an animal testing lab. Like the rescue where we got him from, they don't want people talking about the animal testing too much. But he came from an animal testing lab, and apparently the dogs that they had there, they actually trained them not to bark. They don't take away their vocals or anything, but they're
Oh, cool.
somehow conditioned early on not to bark too much for the experiments and the tests and everything. So again, so when we got him, he's very quiet. And so again, only in those two instances will he go nuts over anything. You got to be careful because you might be playing something on TV, like on the TV show. There's like a doorbell that happens, or a TV commercial. The doorbell rings in the TV commercial, and then he starts running. And we're like, no, that's not the real doorbell. It's just the sound effect in the commercial. In fact, my daughter, she used to have a sound effect on her phone of the doorbell. So she would just play the sound effect on her phone, and he would go crazy. It was like, and so I had to stop doing that because you drive him crazy when you play that sound. He can't distinguish between it. But yeah, but very good. But
So,
yeah,
a question behind that. I don't know if you can say. If you don't worry about it. Was it from the lab, the NPA that was all those beagles, or is it?
I'm not sure. Like I said, the rescue, they don't give us where the dogs come from, but we know they come in batches. So like he came out of a batch of about 12, and he was named after all of the MCU characters.
I
So
remember
he
you
was
telling me that.
yeah, so he was Doctor Strange. By the time we got through the adoption process, we had to fill out the app. They had to reach out to us and screen us and all that kind of stuff. And by the time they got back to us, there's 3 dogs left. There was him, Black Panther, and Captain America. So those were the 3 left. So when we went to the store where the dogs were, my daughter bonded with him, and that's
Hmm.
what we decided on at the end. We were thinking about Black Panther, but someone else already had him tabbed, so we were waiting to see if she's going to show up. If she didn't show up, we might have adopted him instead. But but yeah, so the only thing they told us when we signed on and said, hey, you want to do this, hey, the only thing they say is don't go out, especially in social media, and don't talk a lot about animal testing and whatnot, because the labs won't give us the dogs. So again, we want
Yeah.
to make sure that we maintain a good relationship with the dogs, with the labs and everything, and they give them to us. But yeah, but he's test specimen number 29. It's if you open up his ear flap, they tattoo 29 on the inside of his ear. And
That's
so
sad.
he yeah, so but it's in them. They use them. They're almost because of their temperament. They're perfect in experiments. They're very cooperative, and but unfortunately, and they're used for certain things. Even and they breed the dog for a certain age. So they need a dog at 6 months, at 10 months, at 11 months. All these dogs they're all the same age. So again, so once the test is over, then boom, they're done. So if they don't give them to a rescue or something, they're euthanized, and then the next batch comes in. If a dog was slated for a particular test, but for any reason that test was delayed or postponed or whatever, you got to get rid of the dog because the dog is going to be too old for the specific result. But a lot of the medicines that we use, they use them for the for the animal testing. So it's so so it's kind of bittersweet. They're pivotal in terms of what we do. I mean, a lot of things we take for granted that we use. Unfortunately, they'll use the lab animals on them because until you get ready for human trials, they're the ones that are are
The guinea
oftentimes
pigs.
a part of that. Yeah. So
Um,
we yeah.
a couple of things. The barking thing. Mine will bark when somebody comes by, and I actually like that. So if somebody coming by, I want to know who's around my house. Personally, I love that thing. Uh, the Romeo, all that stuff is great. He's great about that. Now, with the testing, that breaks my heart hearing this because I have a weak spot when it comes to dogs. I'll be honest with you. I like somebody made a threat towards my dog. Actually, it was the management office assistants, assistant manager of this complex. He learned the fast way why you don't want to piss me off
Right.
because you get 2 people you don't mess with in my mother and my dog.
Yeah.
He messed with my dog, so
Mm.
let's say I say things I shouldn't said.
Right.
So there's something we don't talk about. But can you blow up Stacy's comment for a second with her dog? I got something to say on this one.
It was about the ring notifications.
Yeah.
Yep, still waiting. But she says here, my dog goes crazy over my ring notifications. Yeah, I mean it's
I seen her dog. Her dog barks on his own shadow. Every little thing. I'm like, if that thing is like a little chihuahua. I think it's a mixed chihuahua and her dog. Like it barks every little thing, even a
true.
shadow. It's a sweet
Very
dog. Don't get me wrong. It's a very sweet dog.
right.
But her dog barks. Good thing she lives in the woods.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's that's the only time, like I said, he goes crazy over stuff.
Yeah.
But Black David, if you can, we gonna still keep talking. We might as well, since we broach it so much, we might as well go into the gray area on this topic. But in the interim, if Black David, if you want to drop the link in the chat
Let's do it.
to let people come up, if again any questions that you may have about us, about the gray area, about the show, about what we're trying to do in the space, by all means, you can come cam up and join us again. Thank you for everyone who is joining us for this evening's show. So by all means, stop on through and see us. And but we might as well explore this area a little bit. Now, I know obviously we're both dog aficionados. I mean, I've
Oh
my
yeah, I
whole
love dogs.
life growing up with dogs. Now, again, Greek culture. All right, so let's visit Greece. How are dogs viewed in the culture? Are there as luck? I think America in general, I think America and in Europe overall, I think we are very much canine philic in terms of just our love and affection
Hmm.
for dogs. I know in other cultures and other societies, they're still looked at as dirty animals, as filthy animals. Dog is a term of even in the Bible used to talk about, dogs aren't necessarily described in the most pleasant of terms, but certainly in the United States, it's a it's a big thing here with us. But in Greece, in Greek culture in general, how are dogs generally viewed in their status in that society? So, what perspective would
So
you bring to that?
this is a multiple answer question kind of thing.
Okay.
Okay. So the word dog could be good and bad. If you're
Hmm.
talking about animals, great. But if I'm talking to a female and call her a dog, it's pretty much me just calling her a slut, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you want to avoid that term to a female, or you want to get knocked out. You pick.
Hmm.
Now, dogs as a pet is a hit and miss. The reason I say that, when I was growing up in Greece, some people did have dogs as pets.
Hmm.
It's not as many as you think it will be. It's less. Um, if there were a lot of strays, I mean strays out of the asshole.
So now, are these feral? These are just dogs that people had and didn't let go, or are these feral dogs born in the wild?
Both,
Or okay.
both, a little both. I would say mostly in the wild because I remember seeing them everywhere. Like
Mm,
they cleaned up the city. I mean, Athens, obviously, I'm talking about. That's where I grew
mhm,
up in.
mhm,
I was living in the States and I went back and I'm like, where's all the fucking dogs? I used to go feed them, to be honest with you. I used to get a
mhm,
big bowl this big,
mhm.
carrying it on my little
Yeah.
scrawny ass, trying to carry that, put it aside, a
Right.
big bowl of water. Hopefully, I didn't get soaked in the middle of winter.
Mhm.
And I leave it out and I just do it all over again because I love dogs.
Yeah.
I'm not a big cat person, but I
I'm
will
not a
feed.
neither am I.
Yeah,
Neither am
I'll
I.
feed them and everything. But
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan. Like, oh, let me go pet one right now. No. Last time I was living with somebody who had a cat. Used my leg as a scratching post. 4 o'clock in the morning, I was just having coffee. My eyes wasn't open yet. That cat ran across the room fast.
Mm,
Yeah, not happening. I'm not
yeah.
not a fan. No offense to anybody who loves cats. Has to offer
Right.
you respect. Dogs are better.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah. I'm
close my
definitely.
statement there.
Now, is that just with you? So it's not necessarily that comes from your culture, dogs. You
No.
just grew up with just an affection and affinity
Yep.
for that. That's going to be personal for everybody. But so in the society in general, is there what do they do like with all these stray dogs and with all of these what are they doing in that how what's animal control like in Greece from what you
What
recall?
animal control?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Now I think it is one in there. I'm pretty sure it is one because they cleaned up the city really well. And like
Mm,
I barely see any strays. Like I remember like under trucks because they're a little higher. They used to
hmm
sleep under there,
hmm
and it used to be like 10, maybe 15, maybe 20 sometimes, all curled up in a ball, just get out of the shade. And like it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like one of the worst things. I remember just, going playing with puppies, and my grandma was yelling, I'm like, you don't know what that dog is. You gotta go wash your hands because of
Mm,
fleas and stuff like that. Like I
mhm.
understand where she's coming, but it's a straight dog end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get it, but we used to feed him all the time. And Greece is a little different with the dogs, obviously. Like I said, if I could think back now and look back, if I could do more, I would have. If I could get my own
Right.
shelter and get them in homes, I would.
But take me into the mind of a Greek person. Like I said, you. I mean,
Mhm.
you were born loving dogs. I get that.
Yeah.
But just the average Greek person, like from a dog, are they looked at as just animals? Are they looked at as luxuries? Or do people with more money or high society have them? If so, are there breeds that are preferred in Greece over there? If you're going to have a dog, are there any breeds that are specific to Greece? Because again, you have dogs bred all over the world in certain regions, specific for specific causes. But are there give me that from a typical Greek person. Are dogs viewed that? Are there terms that dogs are referred to? Is it you go to someone's house or whatever? I mean, give me the don't give me this you per se, but I
I'll
just want
use
to
my
know
mom's best friend.
The Greek mindset. Give me the
I'll use
Greek
my mom's
mindset when it
best
comes to
friend.
dogs.
She
Go
had a
for it.
dog, and it
Right.
was, she treated him like a kid.
Hmm.
Unlike she used to put him, milk in his bowl in the morning with
Hmm.
his breakfast,
Hmm.
dog food probably. Oh, she'll make him some eggs or something, whatever.
Right.
That's the way, she teach him like, when you can go out, he had a little corner with newspapers, like those pads, PDP, what are they called?
Those
VDP,
Wii pads,
Weepy.
yeah,
Thank you. Like
yeah,
similar cost, but it was on the deck. You know, so don't forget decks are not made out of wood; they're concrete. So you're not worried
right,
about
right,
piss and all that stuff. You have to mop it, obviously. So then he had that little corner when he couldn't go for his walk. Go right there, come back in, call it a
right,
day.
right.
So it was different man's mentality when it comes out to Greece because the people don't really have animals like that in Greece.
Mhm.
What animal they do have, and there is very popular, and it's still I think it's yeah, it still is birds. They love the birds.
Really?
Yeah, canaries, mostly canaries, because they, male canaries will start singing to mate.
Mhm,
So my mom go crazy for canaries. She loves them, and like my grandma too. She had like I don't know how many what times she had like 5 or 6. I mean, like she had a little hook
mhm,
outside.
yeah,
She take them outside, hook them up there. It was nice and high, so the cat couldn't go near them or anything.
mhm, mhm.
Because again, we got a lot of stray cats too.
Right, right, right.
So
So
and it
so
was
birds are generally, as far as I'm talking about just nationally with Greece,
mm,
birds are generally preferred as pets over
yep,
dogs or cats or
yes,
other.
yes,
Okay, wow. Okay.
yeah, and it was like one of those, and they're cool. I like birds. To me, I think it's birds are too much goddamn work.
Yeah,
But
I've never had a lot of experience with birds. Honestly, I can honestly say I don't know.
so so first thing in the bird, like you have to change. Okay, you have them in the cage, all right.
Mhm.
So under the cage, let me put this down. Put the cage. You have to change the paper because he's gonna shit in there. He's
Sure,
gonna make a
sure.
mess. You gotta change that.
Right,
You gotta change the
right,
water, change his food. That's a daily thing now.
right,
Now, bigger it is, bigger the mess. Like I
right.
remember the first canary I got her recently. It was cool. It chilly, no mess. The second one, after the first one, like yeah, it was okay.
Mhm,
The last one I got her, the little fucker was a messy. Like I remember
mhm.
him, we had a little bird bath. He would take a bath, and he starts like I'm sitting there. He starts spitting on me. And I'm like, I look at him like, are you really spitting on my neck? He just
Wow.
wanted attention. I just go
Mhm.
up to the cage and just whistling at him, and he usually jump up back and get excited.
So how big are we talking about? Because I have seen guys now. I've seen the bigger ones. Actually, I don't mind. So
Mhm.
I've seen guys who own like macaws or whatnot. And they're like at least a foot high. I mean,
Yeah,
these are
yeah.
pretty massive. And their claws are like as long as my fingers, pretty much. But them, I can. But your parakeets or your the smaller ones.
Canaries are like this big.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let me jump off topic for 1 second. I got two
sure
funny
thing.
stories to tell everybody. You're gonna have to. So, everybody know, my channel I talked about CQ, my best friend, all the time. So I was at his house. He had a black African, like African parrot, I believe it is,
Hmm.
but his wings were clipped, so he pretend to fly, right?
Okay.
So he goes around in circles, whoop, right in the window. I'm like, ah.
Mm.
I'm like, that wasn't the funny part. The funny part, he used to chase a cat around the house.
Oh wow.
The bird would chase, you see him running. The bird, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Hmm.
But some birds, like you're saying, back to the topic, some like a buddy of mine owns a African parrot with the ones that talk. The
Hmm.
beak can be like this big. You have to trim
Yeah.
that beak down,
Yeah.
and it will rip human bone.
Yeah,
If it
yeah,
catches
some
you,
of them,
it will cut it right off.
yeah, and like anything else, you don't know it could be at any time. You could be handling like some like they don't have the glove on or whatever,
They
and some will
usually
be handling
don't.
them.
Those birds, the parrot ones I'm talking about,
Mhm,
they don't usually go for human skin. They usually
mhm,
go for like the beaks are mostly to break nuts
okay,
or to something to eat. Like vegetable wise, they don't go for flesh.
mhm.
But if it catches your finger, oh, it's coming after you.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, yeah, you gotta be careful with that. Shout out to the chat. We got Quincy Friesen in the chat tonight. Good to see you, brother. Again, this is our open line show. So again, we're gonna have this open next week. We're taking a break for the Super Bowl, so we're gonna have a go and take a pause there. We're gonna come back in 2 weeks. We're gonna open up the gray area, talk about religion. Again, grooming. He's been able to acquire one of his church fathers who's going to be joining us for that show. So this is kind of open line time. We're just kind of free forming kicking it. I just started talking about dogs, and we're just kicking it. But again, you can certainly come on ask any questions of us about the show, about the topics that we covered so far. For those of you who've joined us for every episode of the Gray Area, we thank you so much for supporting us in this effort. So any question you might want to have, it's open mic, it's open line. You guys can kind of come up, and you'll make sure you're pre-screened, because again, anything you're doing good, someone always tries to mess it up. So I've seen that also, but certainly we'd love to hear from some of the audience and any perspective you may have. So now we're talking. This is just totally off script. We're talking about dogs and pet ownership and whatnot. So again, any stories that you may have about your pets, or if you have any cultural perspective on different pets based on the country that you come from, we'd love to hear it. But from grooming, so what I'm hearing is, so the birds are preferred to dogs,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm
Correct.
still want to know, how are dogs generally, by a common Greek person, how are they looked at? Because I think in America,
Down.
especially,
Look down.
it's almost like to say, and I almost hate to say it, but it's for me, and again, maybe just my love and affinity for dogs. It's kind of hard for me to understand a person who doesn't like dogs in the U.S. for whatever reason. It's like, you don't have to own it, you don't have to whatever, but some are just like, it's almost like in their personality. Like, you're so into your material or whatever. There's something about dogs that bring out, I think, the best in people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you become more compassionate knowing that you're caring for someone else. Like, and really for my daughters, especially, I can see it because, for all of them, especially young girls, they can be very selfish, but owning a dog makes you selfless in so many different ways. So for people to say, "Oh, I don't like dogs," I'm like, "Who hurt you? Who hurt you, bro?" Like in the, but so I really want to get, again, help me understand the mind of a Greek person. Is it the work? Is it the means? Is it the money? Because again, you do have to shell out for the pet care and whatnot. Just the general person, like, dogs, how they're viewed from the mind, not of yourself, but of a typical Greek person. Why do you think that is, that dogs haven't resonated to the degree that, say, birds are, who are not nearly as interactive? I mean, the bond, the human canine bond goes back like 12,000 years. But for some reason, why hasn't it has it connected with Greece as it might have done with other cultures?
I want to say it's a combination of a couple of things. One, the way you were raised, because Grace, you're not raised to have animals in a house like that.
You're not.
So
Okay.
no,
Is that
that's
because from
one.
a religious thing? Is that
No, it's just I would say because most people live in apartments in Greece,
okay.
and some people are cool with it. We don't have rugs in Greece; we have tiles.
Right.
But that's one I would say. The second I will probably say is financial. Probably is one of the biggest reasons. It's
Mhm.
depends on what kind of breed you have. It can get very, very expensive.
Mhm.
My cousin had two pit bulls. I say two
Mhm.
because one passed from recently to the last time we spoke. But two big pit bulls can get expensive fast. I know when Hercules died, me to cremate him was half the price what my cousin paid because it was half the size of the dog.
Mhm.
So, and I pay half the size of food. I was paying close to like what $200 a month on food for
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah.
I'm paying maybe I would say maybe $80 tops a month. It's not a lot. Really think about it.
Right.
Now, you have to include the food, the vet, the walk-in. A lot of people don't want to deal with that, unfortunately, in Greece.
Mm.
They just like they love. Some people love animals, some people hate them. Now last time I spoke to a couple of people, not forget my best friend for example, other people that I went to school with, and I still had Hercules at the time, and he jumps on my lap all the time when he was alive. And
Mhm.
go, oh my God, he has a cute dog. They're coming around now. Now dogs are more accepted in society. They
Okay.
want dogs in the house.
Okay.
So that's changed. Now I even see, I was curious, like, yeah, because I wanted to go to Greece, next summer. And I was thinking about, hey, how about I want to bring Alex with me? I'm thinking, maybe I can find because I want to go somewhere outside in Athens that I don't have any property or friends. I
Mhm.
need to find. I need somewhere to go family. Like I didn't know if they have family friendly animals in
Mhm.
hotels. They do now.
In
It's a hundred
Greece.
bucks.
Okay.
Yes, it's
Okay.
$100 in Greece,
Right.
but that's what makes it interesting to me
Mhm.
because even Greece is coming around now. You're
Right.
saying
In
accept
some
animals.
circles, are they looked at as like a stat? Because I know in other cultures, dogs are oftentimes looked at also as a status symbol.
No,
Like it's a
that I
something.
know
It's a
of. No,
none
no,
that you know of.
no.
Okay. So I was just reading something on China is like for they're starting to and I forget the breed, but it's like this huge dog breed that everyone's kind of going for right now, but it's meant to be like if you own one of these dogs, it's almost
Hmm.
it's like it's associated with your success, that you're a successful person if you own this large big black dog breed. I forget what it was, one of these massive breeds. And that's becoming like the rage right now where people owning that. But I did do a quick look up of because I was curious whether, there are some breeds that are specific to Greece. So
Really?
you have the Greek Shepherd, the Greek Harehound, the uh, Alopecus. I think if I'm saying that correctly. You have the Molossus of Epirus, the Grecian Greyhound, the Cretan Hound, the Karakachan, and the Kokoni. So apparently these are all dog breeds that at least originated in Greece. Now, whether or not they're still bred, currently in Greece, or whether these ancient breeds that might have been mixed with others and created other sorts of hounds. There are some breeds that were used, and I'm also going to assume that a lot of these dog breeds were also used for work. That's another thing too that I see in some cultures.
Bingo.
They have dogs, but they're not meant to be human companions, but also for work. So, like again, if you have sheep or shepherds or birds or whatever, herding breeds, working breeds, is definitely something that differs in different countries. So they're not looked at as dogs you snuggle up with, but they're bred for working conditions. But did you see a lot of that when you were in Greece, where dogs were used in police work, for example? Did you see a lot of canine dogs in police work for sniffing
No,
drugs or
actually, if
whatever?
you're gonna call the canine in, they have a special unit and they go get them from the station and come down. But
Hmm.
and that's one episode I want to do later on with about the police because
Hmm.
that's a big conversation for that.
No, definitely.
But uh, but the you don't see canine like that. You don't see there. Funny fact, um, there are always two breeds. One breed has two type of dogs. Always, you have the family breed and the working breed.
Yeah.
If you get a working breed, you need to be able to get him to run, to
Oh
exercise a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah. It becomes very
I
destructive.
believe,
You don't. They have to be exercised.
yeah, I believe like the German Shepherd and the
Definitely.
Huskies, they're
Yeah.
two kinds of breeds: a working breed and a family breed.
Hmm.
That's two off my head. I can use
Hmm.
example.
Yeah.
Like beagles. I don't think beagles. I think beagles are like that too. I'm not mistaken. I think all breeds are like that. Excuse me. But back to our original conversation. I don't. Again, from my when I were there, no, I didn't see that. Could that change now? Good possibility. Yeah. Um, the military uses them. I know. Greek military uses a
Yeah.
lot of German shepherds. That is their go-to dog. Okay,
Right. Right.
and I believe
They're so
our
versatile. I
military.
mean, they're
Yeah.
used not only in the field, they're used for again bomb sniffing, for
Hmm.
rescue. I mean, they're such obviously they're the most successful domestication. Like of any animal in the world, horses and dogs are probably like the one and two in terms of domestication. But they have so many different uses in not only work environments but also even in the mental health now. Like I just went my mom see my mom in the she's stays in a nursing home, and they actually have it. It's like they want you to bring your pets in. Now every time we go see my mom, we take Doctor Strange with us. We just take him, and but they're actually asking like please bring your dog, and let them uh sit with some people, so they actually wanting people to bring in their own pets or whatnot because of again the therapeutic effect of having dogs, and what it does for people. And yeah, and every time we bring him to the floor, he's like the hit of the floor. Everyone needs to touch him. Everyone needs to pet him. And he's got to go sniff everybody.
It's funny you
And
say that
so,
because
yeah,
when I worked in nursery room in Whitehall, everybody were bringing their pets in. I remember, I was like, as a cook, like, I'm gonna pet a dog. I don't care if I get fired or not. I go wash my hands before I go back to
I,
work, obviously.
I hear you.
But I was the type of person like I'm going to pet the dogs because I'm a dog lover.
Yeah.
And if I had to pick a human over a dog, sorry, the dog wins every time.
That
So,
that I still wrestle with a little bit. I do think, especially when we went through the process of trying to adopt a dog, I do think people do take it to the point when you say you love dogs more than humanity. That I kind of get a little. That's a little extreme
Push
for
back.
me, but yeah, but I appreciate the sentiment because again, I think just in my life they've
Here's
been
the
so
reason for why.
valuable.
To me,
Go
I
for it.
was explaining to a reason why. Is to me, my dog is my son. I don't call him my dog. I call him my son
Hmm.
because I don't have kids. That's the closest thing I do have as a kid.
Right, right.
So
Well, the
that's why I'm
bond
so
that bond is
overprotective.
strong. No cut.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
said, the human canine bond, like I said, it's been with us for a minute. So it is a very strong bond, and even biochemically, they've even studied it now. Like the biochemical
Mhm.
reactions that take place is very similar to that of humans with children. But before I go on any further, I have to salute my brother Trey Ferg. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, my brother, my 7B brother. So again, sorry, grooming. You're going to be another ethnic minority here
Mhm.
because obviously the Ball brothers have to come in and do that's what we do. We take over. But it's good you being with us tonight. Also, shout out to Na Kenya tonight. Thank you also for joining us for the show. Again, this is open mic show tonight, so we are here for dialogue and exchange. This whole show, the purpose of the gray area is about cultural exchange and just discussion and fostering understanding. So we are very much welcome a conversation from a variety of people, different perspectives and life experiences. We want to find the gray area that also links us as human beings. As much as we're different, we also want to show we're apart. But brother Trey, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And what's going on with you, brother? Talk to us. First of all, how you doing? How are you doing? Number one.
Physically, I don't know. I guess I'm getting old, going on another birthday. Starting to have all kinds of arthritis issues in my back and my shoulders.
Right.
Intellectually, it feels good to be able to speak to other men about diverse issues and diverse topics that affect not only us personally, but the community and also the country at large. Um, Emotionally, a little indifferent. It's Sunday. I like to relax and get ready for the rest of the week. Even though I'm
Yeah.
retired, but I still like to, spiritually, I'm connected to my family, my house.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Man,
That's up.
I mean, just loving life, being married,
Yeah.
all that good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, and I know you're still again mourning the loss of your father again. So sorry for that. I know I lost my dad in 2018, and
Okay.
it's
Sorry.
weird. But the crazy thing about it is I don't think there's not a day that goes by that I don't either think about him or that in a lot of ways he still speaks to me every day. Like I
Yeah.
almost understood my father more after he passed than when he was alive because it wasn't like we were super close. But just as you raise your kids, as you go through certain things, and you recognize things that your dad might, you realize you're more like your dad than you want to, necessarily take on sometimes. And so I
Yeah.
just kind of hear them in the back of my head a lot of times, also. So again, I gained a lot of appreciation for him. Like I said at the start of the show, I mean, my father back in the day, he really laid the groundwork for a lot of my relatives. They were like that northern
Yeah.
middle passage that allowed people to come up and set up and families for legacy going forward. He was willing to sacrifice for me. He came from 13 brothers and sisters, and so he did for all those folks back in the day. So it's
Wow.
you grow an appreciation for him as time goes on, and for what he did. So I hope that journey continues for you, that you can appreciate what your father gave you over the years. I know you speak of him with great affection for the lessons that he gave you and just the example that he was. And nobody's perfect. My father had demons too, but you start as you get older, you start to appreciate the good that he gave you over time, and how much that has helped you to be the man that you are today. So I just want to encourage you in that it will get better, and again, that appreciation will grow more. That you'll start to appreciate what you've had.
I'm just going to end. I know I don't want to go too far into it, but Brother Bennett, just based off what you said, I appreciated my father greater when I was younger because a lot of the things that he would tell me, when you 14, 15, man, you don't know what you're talking about, Dad. You too old. But then as I got into my early adulthood, once I was able to really expand away from home, everything he used to tell me, I used to hear it and see it, and it helped me avoid a lot of stupid decisions and doing a lot of dumb shit just based off him. And my father wasn't the most affectionate guy. I think I was probably in my late 30s before I ever heard him say he loved me. You know what I'm saying? But I never 100%. Questioned the fact that they did love, you know, because my mother was probably the greatest woman, greatest cook I've ever known. My wife tries to compete, but she's a close second. But you know, my father,
you know, hold that over.
He wasn't that guy because my father's father was a preacher over all my life, but him and my father didn't have that solid relationship because my grandfather married a woman after my grandmother died, a year older than my father at the time. My father was like, I was 5. My father was like 30 something when she passed, and he struggled with that for years. He was always there for me, and he used to tell me his little sob stories. I was like, Daddy, that don't affect me because you hear it. But like I said, he worked for a great company. He did some things that he never spoke about that he was honored for as he got to retire. You know, I think just as he got older, you know, when you got other siblings, they was pulling on him and taking whatever he had, you know, it just weighed on him and just sort of, you know, I guess it sort of wrinkled our relationship because I used to fight for him to say, come on, Dad, you did. But for some reason, he just didn't want to break away from it. And I think in the end, that's what got to him, you know, and it was sad to me because everything he was telling me, I was like, Dad, I'm trying to do everything he was telling me and I'm doing it. I want you to be a part of it. But, you know, it was just sort of strange, you know. And then now, you know, it's like I'm that last lineage. Well, I have sons, but it ain't me. You know what I'm saying? And I carried it proud, and I always will. So, you know, it's just a good space to be able to talk through. That's why I told BMU before, you know, this is sort of my therapy, and I'm not afraid to say it because I've always spent my life just trying to help people get to a better place. And it's blessed me so many things, so many ways. It's blessed me. Now, on the topic that you're all talking about, I know y'all was talking about pets.
Yes, sir.
My first pet, I'm going to give y'all a little history about me and pets.
Go for it.
First dog we ever had, I think I was about 4 or 5. I sat on it and broke its back.
Oh.
Hey, I was a baby. I barely remember it, but I do remember it was a little white dog. Oh, dog. You know, okay. So the second dog we had, a German Shepherd, we went out of town. We went to Chicago, and we asked somebody to watch our dog, and they just changed it up to the fence, and the dog jumped the fence, then tried to jump back over and hung itself. So then my father got into Rottweilers. My father had got a runt from a guy who had just got his puppy from his family in the country. And they lived in the project. So by the time that dog was ready to have pups, it was probably one of the biggest dogs in the city. So we got the runt of that dog, and we named it Bootleg. Bootleg was the dog's name. But he was so loyal. He was so loyal, man. If I had him, I could control him. You know, my father couldn't get close. If I told him to come in, and my father had him, he could do it to me, my brother. And he was one of the best dogs we ever had, man. He hardly ever barked. And we had a fence probably about 2 feet. He never jumped the fence, but my father had to go to court a couple of times where people were trying to get over into our yard, and he'd be back there. He wouldn't bark, and he done snapped them, and you know he done bit the plug. He had him a few trophies in his lifetime, and then my father mated him and had some great pups. My father thought he was a dog groomer as he wanted to enter his dog into the little doggy shows. Man, our dogs, and he was calm until he saw another female Rottweiler. So my father said they told him he had to get up out of there. So that was the last of his dog show me days. But he loved dog. He had just got bit by someone else's pit bull about 10 months ago. Visiting somebody, he loves dogs. The dog jumped at him. The dog bit him on the side of his face. So he had And my father been bit. He probably been bit about 10 times. So he's whatever. Feed the dog, play with the dog, talk to the dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, you can't do it. But he loved dogs. So, but Gorman, I do have a question for you. I know you were talking about I know you have your favorite dog, and you and Mr. didn't have a dog that's similar. Did your country, like your heritage country, where your generations and ancestors came from, is there a national dog breed?
That I know of, no, actually.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I may be wrong on that. I got looked into that myself, to be honest with you. But from my knowledge, no, because I know some countries do. I know, like Germany has the Dachshund, I believe, and so
Okay.
on. But in Greece, I don't think so, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to look
Two
that up
rescue
now. Like I
dogs.
said, I know I listed a lot. I listed a few of the dog breeds that originated in Greece.
Mhm.
But again, from what Grumman was saying, they're not looked at a lot of in the same way because there's so many strays and there's so many wild and feral dogs that are out there, like on the streets or whatnot, and just the living conditions are such where they're not going to have a lot of room to roam around. You know, it's typically you're not going to have a house with a half acre in the backyard or something like that. So it's going to be harder to have them in a especially in the urban. Now in the country, it might be different. Like, you know, and Grumi might want to speak to this. Like if you're in the countryside or whatever, where you have a lot more land, a lot more room to roam around, it may be easier to own dogs. But when you're in these cities where everyone's piled on top of each other, it may be more difficult to have dogs like that because of the, you know, the dangers that may come with that, and, you know, people getting bit, and, you know, and I don't know what the policies are in terms of when, you know, how, because I think here, you know, your dog gets bad. I think was it 2 strikes, you got to put the dog down if the dog has bitten someone twice. So I think that's the code in most places here. So I don't know what the laws are in Greece, but I think it's just the environment itself is maybe not conducive to having a pet. And if you are out there with your dog, then if you got some wild feral ones out there, you don't know what, you know, which one may come up, and you're gonna have to deal with somebody. Because a couple of times I'm walking my dog, dogs could literally coming at me, and like I said, my dog is small enough I can pick him up, and like I got to like defend my dog because he doesn't mess with anybody. But for some reason, some dogs might want to try to come after him, so I got to yoke him up and be like, yo, you know, come get your dog, or if I got to, you know, kick him or
funny
do
story
whatever.
about that, the biting thing. We were living in a different house at the time, a mother door house. My landlord was psychotic. He was banging the door, trying to get in. My little dachshund was wild up. So he called the cops, and my mom hears the cops say, and the cop admitted to me, say this motherfucker's an asshole, my landlord. So when the cop walked in the house, my dog thought he was the danger. So my little dachshund bit the cop in the leg. I'm like, oh Christ, here we go. I'm gonna have a problem with this shit now. So when I met the cop, he goes, you know, man, we talked to him. And he goes, not mad, nothing's gonna happen. Your dog does what he was trained to do, protect the household. So I'm not gonna take it. He's like, nope. Me being a dumbass, like, why? I'm like, yeah, that's how stupid I was. He goes, I'm in a good mood. He goes to me, huh, okay. The only thing he was worried about if my dog changes, you know, starts drooling and things like that, he was up to shots and everything. So I had no problem with that. Yeah. So he goes to me, you know, you're good. You know, just I can't do anything. It's not a what he said. This is not a law thing. Is a private thing. So you guys have to take it to court between you guys. I can't get involved with this shit. I'm like, I don't care about that. Whatever. But that's the funny fact.
Right. Shout out to Marriage, Politics, and Sport, brother R. Payne. Thank you for swinging through and visiting us.
Man, R. Payne, get your
tonight.
ass up
Again,
here.
I told you the Ball brothers. You know, we infiltrate. That's what we do. So R. Payne, if you have a dog story, a pet story, if you are a dog owner, we love for you to come up and share your views or perspectives on that.
Screw that. I don't care if you're a dog or a pussy or whatever you have. In your case, you're Chef Payne. You gotta, you know, talk about how you sizzling those pussies in this frying pans.
Oh man, let's keep it above board today.
Hey, I got a message. If he's doesn't come up here, I got more ammo for him.
I got you. So Trey, do you own a dog currently? A dog or you have two? What breeds? What dogs?
The first dog that I have a Shepherd Collie Pit mix rescue dog. Very smart.
Nice.
Loves children. She probably weighs about 45 pounds. Probably stands about I say about 18 inches tall.
Mhm.
She likes to run like a shepherd. She has a very keen sense of awareness, but like I said, she loves children. She's never barked at a child.
Mhm.
She's never barked at a senior citizen. She barks at things that are in black. She went to a stint where she was barking and moving cars that were all black. Anything in black, she barked. And my dog is black with white paws, so I call her Socks. That's her name,
Right.
Socks.
Right.
I also purchased January 23, I purchased a German Shepherd, full-blooded German Shepherd.
Oh, just
puppy.
recently?
Yeah, last year.
Nice.
And believe me, she's already standing taller than my dog, stressing her out. German Shepherds, depending on what list you look at, they 1, 2 in far as protection, but German Shepherds are bullies.
Yeah.
She's a bully. She bullies everybody. She bullies me. Sometimes when I'm on her, y'all see her put her snout up in the face, and she's gangster, but she's real smart. And man, this is a little different, but I do have a Maine Coon mixed cat.
Okay.
And the cat
and the
is
dogs
scared of the German Shepherd.
They get along with the cat pretty well. They don't mess with the cat too much.
Well, the German Shepherd, she's trying to taste everything in the house, so she's got the cat running. I'm like, cat, you're supposed to be a cat, and slap her a couple times. She just runs from
I heard that. Brother R. Payne of Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Good to be with you this morning. Definitely support.
Like, I love to call him Chef Payne's in the house.
Supports our brother. Actually, he has a show.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you good. You good.
Yeah. This is a politician, not Fannie Willis, but another one down in Georgia. She just lost a lawsuit. A guy she was a subordinate that she was fooling around with. I can't find her name. I was looking for, but I guess it was not popular. But she's another sister who's in charge of. I think she's an elected official.
Right.
She was having an affair with one of her subordinates, and he sued her for sexual harassment and won. And I can't find the news anywhere.
Wow.
Anyway, but that I was just checking up. But yeah, man, I don't have no dogs, man. When I grew up, we did. When I got two stories I could tell you. When my mother passed away, we had to move in with my grandmother and grandfather. But his daughters, they were all grown. My aunts, they had families. We had like 14 people in an apartment in home. And we was all there. So I stayed in a room with two of my female cousins. They were a little older than me and my brother. And we had bunk beds. So we had the top, they had the bottom. We had a cot in there for one of my other cousins when his mother and father had to work.
Right.
And we lived in that room with an Irish setter.
Okay.
Irish setters are not small dogs.
Yeah.
They're pretty big. So so every so often we had to walk over to pee and shit to go to the bathroom. I don't know how we did it. It was my grandfather's dog, but we stayed in there for a few years until we moved to the Bronx. But he always had dogs. We always had all kinds of dogs. But when I went and got my own place and had my own family, my wife asked me to buy a dog. She asked me to buy a dog. So it was my wife and my two daughters, and she wanted me to buy a dog. And I said, the reason I don't have a dog is I can't pick up after them. I said, I'm not gonna walk them. I don't want to pick up after them. You know what? She'll buy it for the girls. I said, I buy it for the girls, but I'm gonna be doing all the work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to do that. So
yeah.
I said, listen, and she kept saying, well, why not? You know, they could have some. So I said, let me break it down to you. I said, there's my oldest daughter, there's my youngest daughter. Now you want me to get a dog. I said, there's no freaking way I'm paying a mortgage and I'm going to be lower than a dog in my own house. That's just that's what I think, because that's exactly what the pecking order is going to be. That's exactly what the pecking order. I mean, just the familiar pecking order. I mean, you're running your household, but you know what? Right. Everybody's gonna come first, and a dog, which is like a human being.
Yeah.
Right. You got to take care of these son of a bitches.
You
can't just have a dog. You gotta put work into them. You know what you get out of them, you got to put into them. You know.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I ain't getting no dog.
Yeah. See, even now, so you're almost an empty nest. I know one of your daughters lives with you still. You're almost an empty nester. So when the girls finally move and it's just you and your wife or whatever,
that's right.
You can't see yourself with a
no.
Yeah, that's something to get up and do every morning, man. You need
The
someone
thing
to
is,
wake you up in the morning,
know,
get them
dog
out there,
interrupted
walk
him.
them. You gotta, you need someone to live for, man.
It ain't
Until the
happening,
grandbabies.
man.
Now, when the grandbabies come, then hey, then you'll have that to fill your time.
Yeah,
But
see, I can see that's what I would rather have, but just I can't see the dog, man. I can't see the dog.
See,
Man,
Pete,
Oh,
this is where
man.
I'm gonna disagree with you. Like, I pay the bills on here. This is my castle, my kingdom. This is my
Yeah,
Spartan den. But my dog, he's the king around here. I don't care. I might pay the bills,
that's what I'm
but
saying.
yeah, you put it out there.
And that's why I think said he don't want no dog. He wants to be
no,
the
no, no.
king.
Hear this. Like, he's snoring. He's like, one day he goes like, I'm like, well, I guess somebody had a rough day. He looks at me like, I'm like, we're like seriously. My own dog is like giving me an attitude here.
Yeah, man, it's funny. I mean, I like dogs though, man. I can tell you, man, I really do. But I just,
Mhm.
it's just like a person having kids when they don't really, they don't really want any, but they just do it because they have to do it. It wouldn't be
Well,
fair to the dog.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it was the funny thing how that that bond kicks in, because now our story, how we got our dog, was my daughter pitched it. Yeah, like we always flirted with the idea over the years, but my wife was adamant, I don't want a dog. She was like the blocker. The kids wanted one. I certainly could have rocked with one, but she was like, no. So my daughter and her going into her junior year of college at Rutgers, she decides, to move home. She wasn't going to stay on campus anymore, or whatever. It was local. She was close by. She said, well, if I don't go on campus, if I don't live on campus, can I have a dog? And that was like, I was like, okay, that's a good deal. Rather than me paying, $15,000 in tuition for you to live at the dorm. Yeah. I mean, I think a dog would be cheaper. So that was the end. So the only thing we had to do was we had to convince my wife that, hey, this sounds like a good idea. They're older now. They're not kids. So that, they can certainly, old enough to take responsibility for the dog. So she capitulated to our demand. But over time, that's her son. It's like the bonding, the motherly attention that he gets. She's very doting on him. And it took her a long time. Like, I had to make her admit that she loved him. It was like she would not admit for the longest time. It's like, that's different. Yeah, yes, I love him. Like, it that bond just kicked in, and again, she dotes on him like you wouldn't believe. And the other thing is interesting. Now, I may lose my black card for this one, all right, from what people are saying, but she said that under no circumstances will this dog ever sleep in our bed. He will not sleep in our bed. I'm sorry. We don't go there. And for the last 3 years, he sleeps in our bed every night.
Oh no!
In fact, if he doesn't sleep in the bed, because it's like, because we don't want to be getting him in the middle of the night or whatever, he'll come into the bedroom and stuff. She'll get out of bed, put him in bed because he doesn't want to have to get up in the middle of the night. She will put him in bed with us. From the woman who said, I don't want that dog in my bed. No way. So again, he took over. He won the whole house over. She totally melts for him. He better not lick my face. That's another one.
Okay, yeah, right.
She comes in from work. Oh, hi, Doc. Gets all up in his grill. He's
Slobbing the dog
stuff,
down.
all slopping her up and everything. So it's a total transformation of this woman who was so obstinate about one, not having the dog, but now when we're going to get one, setting all these rules for the dog, and now he's got the run of the house. He's got the run of everything. So it's just I think that's just the funniest thing.
I had a similar situation when I lived with one of my exes. She goes, he's not allowed in the bedroom. Okay, I went to her. Not allowed in bed. Like, we'll see about that. Not allowed this. I'm like I remember the first night we're spending, and I go. He goes, right in bed. And he goes, what is that? My foot. I went to her. And next minute, he's snoring. She was like, I told her I don't want. I'm like, hey, listen, king is king. I cannot argue there. Like, you gotta talk to him. You guys, that's between you guys. Those two used to fight more about the bed. I remember one time we were sleeping, and he literally did a little push with his legs. He pushed her off the bed. I heard a bang in the middle of the night. I turned over like, the fuck? Why are you on the floor? Your dog kicked me off the bed. That little thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, mine's never done that, but he will take
Right.
over. Like if she gets up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, he will instinctively go and get in her spot on the bed.
He used to do the
He
same
comes
thing.
back. He's like, "Why are you in my spot? Move over." So we got to reposition him at the foot of the bed where he usually is, and whatnot. But he does it to me also. It's like I put him in bed, I go brush my teeth or whatever. I come back, I gotta move him as if he owns the bed. And we got a king size bed, but he owns the whole thing. So yeah, it is. So they have a way of just taking over. But shout out to the chat. Thank you for the folks who joined us tonight. Marcus Antonio Castillo, thank you for joining through. Andre Terry, talk about oh heck no. No dog in the bed. Shout out to you guys stopping through tonight. Again, tonight is our open line tonight. All right. So again, for those of you who are coming in, we were supposed to have a show with some special guests tonight. Unfortunately, that got postponed. So this is our open line show. So feel free to come up and ask us questions on any of the shows that we talked about before. Again, we talk about cultural exchange and the difference between Greeks and Americans. So, certainly come through and ask us any questions you have on that. But tonight, this is just an impromptu. We're talking about pets and pet ownership and again, our experiences with them between Greeks and Americans. And but even here, you have three different people have, different stories and experiences with pets. But again, we'd love to have anybody who wants to come up and say hello to us tonight. Next week, just to give everybody a heads up, next week we're taking off for the Super Bowl. And again, these brothers on the bottom here, they're going to join us on Wednesday. We're going to have our Super Bowl selection show, our Super Bowl picks show coming up on the sports show this Wednesday. And as we all get ready for the Mahomes Super Bowl, and so definitely. I worked with dogs for years. See, now that's the thing. I'd be interested, Trey, because I know a lot of cops have working relationships with dogs, but not necessarily that, allowing them in that human space. So again, that's why I was asking Ruben earlier about the difference between having a working relationship with a dog and actually bringing a dog domestically into your home and having them run of the house.
And Paul, don't forget, a lot of people in the military.
I got to head off, but
man, hey, appreciate you coming through, man. I'll see you. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to stop in with. They say your show be on there, but I'm gonna stop in tomorrow night. You want to plug your show?
We moved it to 7 o'clock, by the way.
Awesome. Okay, then I will definitely swing on through 7 o'clock tomorrow night on the BMU network. R. Payne's gonna have this show, and what's the topic?
It's sexual discernment and consequences for men and boys.
Oh boy, buckle up. So again, obviously that show is going to be the.
Hey, I'm sorry I haven't catch the show, dude. I work on those hours now, brother. I apologize.
That's all right, man. Don't worry about it. You can always catch the replays, man.
I always catch
replays. But I should set if you're on at 7 o'clock, then I'll definitely swing on through tomorrow night. But everybody support our Payne on the BMU network. Again, we give you content every day of the week almost in the space. And we love supporting our brothers and the content. Our Payne, he puts a lot of work. He puts a lot of time in. He's an engineer by trade. So obviously he puts a lot into his presentations and when he's presenting and whatnot, he's always has a platform for exchange. So definitely good brother, and definitely looking forward to your show tomorrow night.
Appreciate the words, man. Thanks.
Yep.
Hey,
thanks for joining us. You have a good one too.
Now, fellas, I will say this about dogs though, and and not just dogs, but any young person who's looking to break out on your own, find your own place, apartment, especially for women. I think it would benefit you to get you a dog that's within your, I guess a medium-sized dog. If you're going to be living by yourself, a little bit for more protection nowadays. Dogs can give you a warning when things are going on in your apartment or within the apartment building. Dogs can alert you of danger when you came in from a long night at the club or whatever, libations. I think it's just good, but you have to be attentive to the dog when you're in the dog space. You have to find if it works within your work schedule. You can, spend some time and walk the dog and get the dog familiar with the community and just other dogs, learning how to behave. But I think it's good for a young woman, especially a young woman who's coming out trying to get her own place, whatever. A dog, a weapon. Dogs may cost a little more because you're going to have to, feed it, of course. But
right.
I only feed my dog a specific diet of chicken livers and gizzards and rice.
Yep. You should do that too.
That's it.
Yep, early
So,
on.
what I was going to say is before I have two topics I want to talk about dogs. With because Trey said it's a canine thing. So they're speaking of the devil. Some military people actually do have their dogs with them at all times. You know, they do use dogs in service. Now, some of them do. I know. No, from my understanding, they do. Some of them, not all of them. Like
dogs are government. Dogs are government property. They don't go.
If you live on base, I'm talking about.
Dogs are government property. They don't
No?
go.
Okay, I was wrong. I'll take that.
Shout out to Trey for joining us tonight. And again, before we go on again, as pan across the screen, we have to thank the guy who always makes the stuff behind the scenes happen. Brother CBN, Black David, thank you so much for always being for us, making sure these shows come off. I know you've been having some technical issues over the past couple of weeks, so hopefully those things will get resolved, and you'll get your get everything worked out. But again, thank you so much for everything that you do within the BMU network, that we can be in this place and the show runs smoothly. So appreciate you. But shout out to Brother Trey. Thank you for joining us tonight. And so you have you want to share your pet experiences or dog experience, if you ever own one. What's your general view on
dogs
in general?
I had a Doberman when I was younger.
Doberman, all right.
Yeah,
nice.
That's my favorite breed of dog. And then I went on a college tour to Norfolk State University, and I came back and the dog was not gone. So who knows what happens? Who knows what happened there? But no, when I was in the military, I joined the Air Force to be a canine handler. That was my sole purpose. Oh, wow. My sole purpose for going in. And when you first join, they sit you down, and Trey knows about this. They run these little videos and these ads and these magazines, and basically you're trying to figure out what kind of job you want. And they were showing this video, and this guy, he had this German Shepherd going crazy, and then the dog just took off running and bit somebody. I said, I want to do that. Whatever that is, I want to do that job.
Wow.
I want to do that job. They said, you want to be canine? So I want to be canine. So they said, okay. So, I went out to DOD, the training in San Antonio, and got certified and learned how to train dogs and learned how to teach them the section dogs and patrol dogs and the whole nine. And took a dog to Iraq in 2009 with me. We went and found explosives and caches, and went on patrols with the Marines and the Army and the whole nine. Love dogs. I love the dogs are willing to sacrifice. I don't know if it's stupid or if it's loyalty, but who cares, right? I mean, stupidity or loyalty, but they're willing to sacrifice everything for you, for your family. I often say that dogs are always the first line of defense in your home. They're better than alarm systems. They can actually bite somebody. Gives you enough time to get to your weapon. They got to get through the dog first, so gives you enough time to get to your weapon. So huge fan of dogs, but I have never had one in my home except for my last relationship. She came with a black German Shepherd.
Oh, wow.
She came with a black German Shepherd, and it's a good dog. His name was Jet. And when she got pregnant, we had to make a decision, and we had to let him go. We didn't have a fenced-in yard, so
right.
There was no way, she couldn't let him out, and the only way to take him was to take him on a walk. Well, if I'm at work and he need to go on a walk, how are you gonna do that? You got a baby,
right? And
it's we live on the East Coast, so we get all 4 seasons. So my daughter was born in October, so going into November, December, January, February. How are you going to take the dog on a walk and you got a newborn? So
right.
It was a tough decision to make. Had to let him go. But yeah, I love dogs. I would just never have one in the house. I would never have one.
Is that a personal?
So you would have. So yours would be the house. You have the dog house in the back and everything. It'd be heated and all that, but not in the house, on the couch, in the bed.
They can never come in the house. I would have it like how how they do like homesteads and farms, Mr. Bennett.
Yeah.
The dog is always outside, like always outside.
Wow.
That's how I would do it. I would never have the dog come in the house.
Gotcha.
Is there a reason behind that, or just you don't like it?
I didn't like cleaning up after the dog. So
okay.
When I was in Iraq, I lived in the same little hut, a hut that they would give for 2 service members. I got one by myself because I had the dog, and it was always just a bunch of just hair on his side of the, on his side of the hut. And it was constant. It was every day. I was just cleaning up. And I don't want that in the house. Because I would get Well, I think this time I'll probably get a Malinois. I don't know if you guys know what a Malinois is, but
Malinois.
it's a.
Let me look at that.
I would get a. I get a Malinois. It's like a short-haired German Shepherd on crack. Like they are.
I think I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Don't the military use them now?
Yep.
Yeah. I've seen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they do look like German Shepherds. Yeah.
They look very.
Except for if you guys ever get a chance, YouTube some of the videos with Malinois. They are. I mean, they're climbing buildings. They're jumping. Yeah, they're jumping fences. They call them Maligators for a reason. Like they are just. They're on steroids.
Right.
But they have high energy, very loyal, very protective, and very good with kids. Very, very good with kids. Mm-hmm. So I would probably get a Malinois.
Yeah. I think I met one at we took our dog to a local dog park here. I think one owner I know they had because I mistaken for a German Shepherd, and he said no, it's a Malinois. So I think I did a little look up on that stuff. You're right. Very, very similar to them. But yeah, I must admit that for me the biggest drawback to owning a dog is the shedding. And beagles, they shed a lot. So it's like they almost every other day you got that brush out and you're brushing, trying to maintain it. My the vacuuming and whatnot, he definitely leaves a trail. And except for a small dog breed. So again, imagine if I did have a 60, 70, 80 pound dog breed.
I'm gonna push back on that.
Also,
I'm gonna push back.
Mine does, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you give it something?
They do shed. I'm not gonna argue that.
Yeah.
But versus a German Shepherd or a Husky, those shed 10 times worse than a beagle and anything else.
That's my point. I'm saying I'm this is my limit now with the shedding. I wouldn't want a bigger dog for that very reason.
Okay. That makes sense. My
10
bad.
times more than a beagle. But I'm thinking if a beagle can do all of this, then God knows, so I'm glad I definitely went. Or I have to get one of those non-shedding. But I'm not a fan of like the curly wire-haired dogs, the non-shedding dogs. I'm not a fan of those aesthetically. But again, they are, they're supposed to be hyperallergenic and all that. But I'm not as much of a fan of those type of dog breeds.
And my daughter's asked for a dog, and I've told her no repeatedly. Because she wants a little small dog. She keeps showing those little like toy pup, like those little toy dogs, and I'm like, nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah. It's responsible. And again, it's more likely you're going to be the one responsible for that. So
I can see Trey walking him and cursing us out like, goddamn grooming, goddamn Paul, goddamn Trey.
hey, grooming. I dated a girl when I was stationed in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in an apartment together, and I came home, and there was this the hell's them thing's name? It's a terrier. What are those little terriers' name? I can't think of it. Yorkie. It was a Yorkie.
Yorkie. Okay. Yeah.
There's a Yorkie running around. She's like, I named him Santana because Santana Moss was my favorite football player at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I named him Santana for you. I'm like, what is this thing? So now here I am walking this little Yorkie around the apartment complex looking like a punk because my girl wanted a Yorkie, but he was cool though. I gotta give him credit. He was cool.
Right.
He was cool. He was like my little best friend. We hung out all the time.
I heard that.
It's
Trey,
funny that because I have a guy. I have a guy who lives in my complex. Looks like the Rock, the young version of Rock, and he has a little Yorkie. And I see him walking around. I'm like, They play with Alex, plays with him all the time and everything. I looked at him like one day, you remember the Rock person? Like, I get that shit all the time. He goes to me. I get tired of it. Actually, he goes to me. I hear it all the time. I'm like, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, I heard that. Trey Ferg, you want to chime in with something?
Yeah, I'm just going to ask Trey, when you started working with that particular breed of dog, I don't know what breed of dog did you say you work with?
I work with both. I had a Malinois when I was stationed in Turkey. Her name was Kiera. I used to call her Kiki. She was a drug dog too. And and we found a lot of drugs too.
Yes, you
I worked with both. I worked with a Malinois and a German Shepherd. I even had a Bobcat German Shepherd. My first dog ever was a Bobcat German Shepherd. He had no tail, and so his name was Barry, and he was mean. He had titanium canines.
Oh man!
Wow!
Because he bit everything.
So with the German Shepherd, and I have a German Shepherd who's a puppy. Listen, man, she's bullying everybody in the house. What? Give me some command advice, some things that I could do to at least calm her down, because she puts her nose in everything. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all a bad story about my dog. It's out of control. She is. I got a 2018 Dodge Ram. It's pristine. I got it brand new, pristine interior. Today, since having that dog, both door panels, the front, both in the back, have at least 6, 7 plugs out of them. Both door handles. The dog is bug wild. We try everything. We got the collar with the spikes. That shit don't work. We tried. Now I'm going to take her to training this spring. This spring, I'm going to get in some good training. I got the money set aside. She can go. She needs to go all summer. She needs. But in the meantime, Trey, what's some good advice? I mean, give me some so I can get it at least. Yeah.
Well, how old is the dog?
She's a year in October of 23. So she'll, yeah, what's it?
Sometimes, man, you know, dogs have personalities.
Yeah, she got a personality.
Sometimes that's just the dog's personality. No matter,
oh my God,
you know, that no matter how much training you give them, some dogs that's just the way they are, the way they're wired. I would try food training. I would try some food training. I would try some obedience drills. Right. You said you're taking her to obedience school, right?
Yeah, she's going.
Yeah.
As soon as it opens.
Yeah, I would take her to obedience school. I was never, so in the military they teach you physical corrections. I was never a fan of the physical corrections. They work. Don't get me wrong. You can pop that chain. If you pop it right, the dog will work with you. But it was just never my thing. It was never my thing to do it that way. I was more of a food correction type of what they call it, a negative reinforcement or positive reinforcement trainer. I was much better doing it that way. That's what I would do. I would just work with her, and when she does things positively, give her a treat and have her work through that. If you go on a ride and she doesn't bite anything, she doesn't chew on anything, give her a treat the moment you take her out of the car. Just constantly reinforce good behavior, positive behavior. As long as the behavior is good, reinforce it with a treat. Dogs love physical affection. They love, being rubbed on and loved on. So love on her, rub on her, you know what I mean? And do all of that. But the trick to the training is dogs have like attention span of like a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when they do something, your reaction has to be like literally immediate. Like it has, when we used to train them to find, explosives, and we teach them in detection, the rewards always came immediately. We never held off or waited. As soon as their nose snip went over the box, it was reward immediately. That's how we teach them. So whenever you want them to do something correctly, the moment, like if you tell them to sit, the moment her ass plants on that ground, reward. Right? Reward. And so it's the same thing with the car rides. If she's biting on things in the car ride, and say you take a car ride and she doesn't bite on anything, the moment you open that door, good girl. You know what I mean? Good girl. You didn't bite anything, and you reward her.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Trey, I wanted to also ask you, given the fact that you've been stationed in a lot of different places and you've had a lot of different experiences with just other countries' perspective, I think one of the things I was talking to Grooming about earlier is like how dogs are looked at in Greece, but other countries, other places where you've been at, how are dogs looked at in society? Because it's not like America, especially, we're just dog, philia over here.
We're pet lovers.
Dogs. Yeah. But in other countries, it's not like that. So
yeah,
just when
especially in the Middle East,
these different places, what have you seen?
They're seen as dirty, and they're seen. I had a dog in Iraq, I had a dog in Saudi Arabia, I had a dog in Qatar, Kuwait, in the Middle East, and people were scared of the dogs. They knew what the dogs were capable of, and they were always considered to be, dirty animals. I took a dog to South Korea. Certain places in Asia, eating dog is a delicacy.
Right.
So, they have their feelings about dogs, and the feeling I always got is that they didn't like the way we used the dogs. That's the feeling I always got, is that they thought we turned the dogs into weapons, which was true. We did turn them into weapons, but that's the way that I was always received. If I walk into a room, and in the military, when you're a canine handler, you have to announce yourself. So everywhere, when I walk into a room, it was always, dog coming in or dog handler coming in or canine coming in. I had to say it loud so you could hear me.
Right. Right.
So, I'd walk into these rooms in South Korea or in Qatar or wherever with this dog, and I'd get like the ugliest, nastiest looks. Like, you bring that dirty thing in here, you know what I mean? You bring that stinky thing in here, and it's like, they didn't want you in rooms. I've been kicked out of plenty of places. You got to get out. You got a dog. You got to get out. You got a dog. You know what I mean? Even if I remember I was on a protection detail. They called me to come help them.
Wow.
And then when I got there, they were like, "Oh no, you can't." And I remember the commander saying that dog is a lot bigger than we thought it would be, because they were used to dealing with the Navy, and the Navy had the Lord Jack Russell Terrier, so smaller dogs.
Yeah.
And so that's what they were thinking I was coming with, and I walked in with this 95-pound German Shepherd, with a harness on that said your big bold letters, police and canine. We look like a unit walking together. And it's like, no. You're gonna scare people. You're gonna scare people. You have to leave. So I've always, it wasn't always received well. Everybody else would be received well until I would pull up in the truck and say canine and pull a dog out, and it's like, oh no, stay away from us. Overseas. Right. Except for Germany. Germany was the only place that I went to where I was received well. They upgraded our hotel stay. They wound up giving us a suite. Like, they were happy to have the dog, and they were playing with my dog in the lobby. And Germany was the only place. I was staying right outside of Frankfurt, and we wound up getting stuck in a hotel, and they took care of us. They brought the dog treats. They went out and bought the dog treats, and I had to tell them, like, the dog's on a strict diet. I can't, all that. So, but yeah.
Right. So it definitely there's definitely the same. So you're talking about like the West, basically Europe, America. We just have that affection and affinity for our dogs.
We love
in a
dogs.
way that other countries just don't. Asia, the Middle East, Africa or South America. You just don't have that same kind of kind of reverence
affinity for dogs. They don't.
Yeah.
It's not
even
it's
if
not
they're in
the
a
same.
working capacity, they still looked at as dirty animals.
I actually think that the working ones, I don't think they like them. I think they like them worse. I think they think differently of the working ones. Like, because there's stray dogs everywhere,
flocks and
and let me tell you something. These dogs have better healthcare plans than some humans do. Okay, if the dog so much as chipped a tooth, we were taking them to the vet. I mean, they got quarterly or semi-annual checkups.
Right.
Veterinarians would do random pop-ups and come check on the dogs. The kennel facilities were top quality. There was always an attendant, a 24-hour attendant at the kennels, because you didn't take the dogs home. So there's a 24-hour attendant at the kennels all the time, especially if you went overseas, because they were able to hire a local national to do that job. And so they, it was always, man, these dogs were treated like, man, if we had a truck. I remember one time I was in Iraq, and the truck broke down, and I'm like, oh man, we're gonna be on foot. This is gonna suck. You know what I mean? Like, it's hot out here. They're like, no, we'll be right back. And they went and got me a whole this truck was brand new. And I'm like, that's not for me. It's for the dog. It's for the dog. I got a lot of perks because of the dog.
Right.
I got to do a lot of things because they wanted the dog there, or the dog needed this, or I couldn't work so many days in a row because the dog had to rest. Not me, had nothing to do with me. The dog had to rest,
That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, dogs, I know you said dogs are looked at their government property, but are they given kind of like a rank, or because isn't there something where if you attack a police dog or something like that, they use it as if you attacked an officer. So if you assault a dog,
the dog is considered a police officer. Yes, in the military and in local, right? Yeah. But there is no actual rank. But we would make up a rank, and it was always one less than the handler. So if the handler was I'll do the Air Force, but if the handler was a staff sergeant in the Air Force, then the dog was a senior airman. So in the Army, if the handler was a staff sergeant in the Army, then the dog was a sergeant. That's how they did it.
Wow. Okay. Right,
but that's a made up thing. It's not a real.
Now, when the dog dies, do they give them like a formal burial?
Yes, sir.
It's
a thing, Mr. Bennett. It is a big thing. The entire kennel shuts down. all the dogs in the kennels are coming out. There's a whole pomp and
There's a whole
circumstance
ceremony.
if a dog passes away. Absolutely.
And
Wow.
even if the retired dog from, please correct me if I'm wrong, Trey, here, if they retire, it's a whole presentation,
Yep.
on the nines, salutes, the whole bells and whistles.
Yep. They get
Wow.
the retirement. They walk them down like it's like a gauntlet almost. They walk them down. They have the commander will come out and officially retire the dog and read this whole thing. And they'll read off the accolades and say this dog went this. And it's a thing, bro. It's a real, like when I say these dogs get treated better than some humans.
Now people also balling, like, you know, trying to hold back the emotions.
You know what's funny? I never thought, you know, my emotions are pretty well. I'm pretty well in tune with my emotions.
Right.
I never thought that I would get attached to the dogs the way I did. I just naturally assumed that this is business. All right, I need you to save me, and in return, I'm going to take care of you. You know what I mean? Like, you got the nose. You know, you have the sensitivities. I need you. Your hearing, your nose, your eyes, and whatnot. No, I got. There was a dog per se. His name was Zoltan. I think that's off of Jay and Silent Bob or something like that.
Yeah.
They tried to name the dog after that, something like that. But that was the first dog I got where I got him from scratch. Like he came straight from training to me. And like I kind of got to put my imprint on this dog. And I was attached. That's the dog I had the longest too. I was attached to this dog. Like attached to him. He was a sable-colored German Shepherd, and he was a monster in patrol. Like if I told him to go bite somebody, it was exactly what he did. He bit somebody, and he was an exceptional detection dog as well. It's also the dog I took to Iraq with me.
Okay.
And he saved how many was on that patrol that day? I think it was about 17 of us on that patrol that day. I would cut him periodically. I would cut him loose and just sort of let him kind of go do his thing. I kind of lost him and couldn't see him. Right. So I'm calling him, you know, Zoltan. But I could see the top of his ears kind of perk up. Right. When we got up there, it's called CST training. So they don't bark. In the local world of police, they'll bark and they'll scratch and they'll do all that, but you can't have that for explosives. Everybody will go, right?
Right.
So they do what's called CST training, and the dog will basically put their nose as close as possible and just sit on it like this. They'll just look directly at the explosive like this, right? And what we would do is we would train them. Their toy would appear through their ears like this. So it always looked like if they did this, the toy would just magically appear. So that's how we trained them.
Right.
So I when I got up close to him, he's like this. And I'm like, whoa, that's an alert. Like my dog is alerting on something. Come to find out it was a cache of dead cord, TNT, and some other things. When we had EOD come out and actually do it, actually dig it up. So my dog was working, and we always had a saying: if the dog's breathing, the dog's working. And I was attached. I was seriously attached to that dog, even to the point where I actually considered when they retired him. When they retire the dogs in the military, they go down the list of the former handlers, and it's in a rank structure. And whoever had him first had first priority in adopting him. And I'm telling you, I was literally this close to adopting him. I was literally this close to adopting him. Only thing that happened is my daughter's mom and I wound up breaking up at that time, and it was a lot going on. And I would have just added to it. But I was literally this close from going down to Texas and going to go pick him up because I was that attached to him. You do get attached to him, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of just as a follow-up to that, now I know obviously we lose dogs. Well, you lose dogs in the course of duty for whatever reasons or whatever. The mental health aspect, the separation, the loss of someone, of, you know, this is it's like a person. Like you said, you do get attached. So I can see some of these handlers having to go for therapy over the loss of this dog, which you bonded with, you raised, you did all these things, and others, these guys have to really go and see somebody because of the heartbreak over. It's just like losing a fellow soldier, you know.
They treat it just like losing a fellow service member. They treat it exactly the same. I remember we had a female handler. She was actually in school with me. We actually wound up getting trained together, and we wound up going to the same base together. She had a dog named Caesar, right? Caesar was a really good dog because he would do tricks. The previous handlers teach him these tricks. So he would actually do tricks. He was a perfect dog for like demonstrations because he did all these tricks and stuff. And he wound up getting sick and passing away. And she was distraught because she had bonded with this dog. It was her first dog too, and they treated it just like she lost a colleague. She had to go to therapy. They like literally treated the same way. She had to go to therapy. She had to go talk to somebody about the loss of a dog, even to the point where there was a long break in between her getting her next dog because she hadn't dealt with losing that dog. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's a serious thing. It's like, you know, that human canine bond is and it can be as strong as the bond with your children. Like you said, you talk about 2 years old, and that's kind of how I look at my dog. He's like, you know, and he's about the size of a 2-year-old. He's about 25, 30 pounds. He's about the size of a 2-year-old. So, you know, but a lot of people just don't. You either get dogs or you don't. You either have that affinity or
That
affection
connection
for
or you
dogs,
don't.
but you don't. And but for a lot of people who don't, it seems to a lot of times it carries over into how they treat people just generally. It's like there's no, if you can't have an affection for an innocent animal, you're pretty vain. You're pretty selfish in that regard. And I just see it in people. It's like, you know, yeah, you don't have to. I won't say you got to take care of it, but it's like, oh, I can't. You know, I don't want no dog or whatever. It just seems to speak a lot about
something about your spirit. Just something about your spirit. You know, and dogs can pick up on those type of spirits, though. That's what's crazy. Dogs can pick up on a bad spirit.
Oh
yeah,
God,
oh yeah, the
they can
sensory
sniff that
is
from a mile
off
away.
Yeah.
Let me tell y'all a story. So I had a dog one time. His name was Barry, and he was getting an award, right? And so the colonel decided he was going to give him this award. And when he was going to go put the little award on his thing, he jumped on him just out of nowhere. Just jumped on him, right? Now, nothing happened. He didn't bite him or anything. But he did not like this colonel. There's something about this colonel, and he was just under his breath. It was very, and I would, you know, calm down, Barry. What is going on with you? Calm down. And he was, normally they look up at you. He wouldn't take his eyes off of him. Come to find out, about 2.5 months later, a story came out that like this colonel was like beating the hell out of his wife and his kids.
Oh man.
Oh shit.
And I just immediately thought, like, my dog could feel that on this man. Like my dog could have feel that this guy was bad news. He didn't like him.
Yeah.
My dog, he never jumped on anybody.
Right.
For whatever reason, he did not like this guy.
Yeah. So good.
They have a sense of pure people. And you can even tell, like, you can look at a dog and look at their owner. If you look at the dog's behavior around the owner, you can tell whether or not that person, that owner, or that handler is a good person, because the dog's body language will tell you. If I see a dog sitting next to the dog, but the dog's leaning away from the handler, I don't like the handler.
Right.
Conversely, if I see that dog leaning into the handler, they have a bond. There's a bond there.
Yeah.
Right. There's a safety. There's a trust there. Dogs will tell you everything you need to know if you just watch their body language. I ain't gonna lie to you. There's times I miss it. Sometimes.
But is that used in screening, like in terms of when you evaluate or assess a handler? Is that something that they look at, like the dog's interaction with the handler? If they see that kind of the dog moving away, is that used in any kind of assessment?
Unfortunately, no. You're assessed by your productivity. So if you can train the dog and y'all work well together, y'all pass your training trials, because you have a bunch of, you're always training in canine, always training, because the dogs have to have a certain level of hourly training every month anyway. So you're always training. So as long as you guys are passing your training trials, they are not really complete. The government, the system is not really worried about your personal connection with the dog.
Got it. Just getting the work done. Just
now,
like
let me ask you a question really fast. Now, when you get a new dog, do you have a little training period? How does that work when you pass a dog for next handler?
Yeah, you have what's called a rapport period. So a rapport period is basically you get the dog and you may spend the first 2 weeks just hanging out. You'll go out into the work area, you know, where they have all the obstacles, and you'll just hang out. You'll just kick it. You don't really do anything. You go for walks. There's no real obedience going on. There's no real detection or training going on. You're just hanging out. You're just kicking it, hanging out. He's getting used to you, or she's getting used to you, and you're getting used to the dog. And then you sort of slowly sort of work your way into obedience. Maybe you'll give a command, a sit, a stay, a down, an out, something along those lines. But that first couple of weeks, it's just a getting used to the dog period, because the dog has to get used to you too. Dogs get used to attached to humans, and they wake up one morning and the human is gone. They don't see that human anymore. And so they have a period too where they have to kind of adjust as well.
Right. Now you mentioned male and female. So the military, they don't make any distinction between, because aren't males bigger generally than females, especially German Shepherds and whatnot there. So, but they don't.
Yes, but they're not necessarily
better.
Don't
make a distinction.
But they're not necessarily better.
Okay.
Because the Malinois that I had was a female, and from a detection standpoint, best dog I've ever had. To the point where when we would do building searches, which was my favorite, somebody would go hide in the building, we have to go find them. Favorite thing in the world to do.
Right.
But with this dog, I could unclip her and go give her one command, seek, and I could stand at the end of the hallway, and she would go from door seam to door seam to door by herself, door seam to door seam, door seam, door seam, all the way down the hallway. She'd clear the entire hallway. She'd come back to me. Nothing here. We go to the next level.
Right.
So, there are sexes. They do have. They do have genders, but it has nothing to do with the work rate of the dog. It doesn't matter.
Wow. And they're all bred for a particular size. So you mentioned your dog was like 95 pounds. Do they look for that? Like, are some bigger, over 100 pounds?
No, because Zoltan, the dog I had before that, he was barely 80. So
so they don't have sizes.
No, it's not a size thing. No.
Yeah. I know a friend of mine.
Now I'm sure in the local police department, I'm sure size matters.
Right.
I would imagine they want healthy dogs, big dogs.
Right.
But in the military, because you can be in such small spaces, you don't want the biggest dog you can find.
Right. Because I know I've seen some Germans get like 140 pounds plus. So
Yeah. I don't think that would be. I don't think that would be effective.
It ain't gonna chase nobody too far.
Freaking Trey, I don't know if you've seen the movie called Dog. It was about a dog handler thing, and that was actually a very inside picture of dog. They were trying to pass it on to the next handler, and the new handler could not handle that dog at first. It was like gonna bite his head off. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Yeah, that can happen. Is that the one with what's the guy's name? The actor.
You're talking about the Anna Shannon? What's his son? No,
he's from White House Down. Magic Mike also.
That guy. Is that the movie you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see it, but yes, that can happen. Because in my report period with the Malinois that I was talking about, she didn't like me at first. She didn't like me at first. I think she missed her old handler. Right.
Okay.
And so we didn't get along at first, to the point where she snapped at me. And let's just say we had some wall-to-wall counseling, and then we worked it out. We figured it out after that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you have to remember, dogs are pack animals, and so dogs will try you. It will test your leadership, no different than they would test the leadership of the alpha male within the pack. It happens all the time. So it is common to see a dog sort of kind of push you and say, "Are you a punk?" Because there are some dogs that in the military, they own their handler. I used to see it all the time. But like, that dog owns you. You do with the dog. The dog's leading that team, not the handler. So you have to sort of work through that. It's a rough period when you get those types of dogs. You have to work through it, but you can work through it. Eventually, at the end of the day, the dog wants to love. That's just how they're built. They want to love. They want to work too. That's the other thing too. You get these working class dogs, these German Shepherds, these Dobermans, these Rottweilers. They want to work. I hate seeing dogs cooped up in the house and they can't go. Take that dog outside and let them go work. That's what they want to do. They feel the most comfortable.
Right.
I tell people all the time, if you can work on a longer leash, instead of your 6-foot leash, if you can work on a 20-foot leash or 25-foot leash, get it and work on that leash. Let that dog get some space from you and kind of just roam and let them kind of do their thing, because that's where you'll notice a huge difference in your dog rather than them being so close to you all the time.
Yeah, good stuff. Now, last question. Again, we're coming down to the end of the show. Again, thank you everybody who decided to drop by in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for your comments and adding to the show. But we're going to be wrapping the show up in the next few minutes. But again, this was totally impromptu. Again, we were supposed to have some guests that we hope to have on in the future, and so we'll look to definitely have that show on. But thank you, Trey, both Treys, for joining the discussion and really adding to this. You gave us a lot of insight in terms of the work relationship, especially with dogs. Now, last question I had was, like, even in that relationship, there is a point where, like, will the dogs like seek your affection? Like, do they lick you? Do they give them your belly? Do they want the rubbing? Do they want? So I know it's a work handler relationship, but it could be as close as one with a domesticated dog. So that's also part of the process as well. You're tight with your dog when they seek that from you. They give you your belly and all that.
Absolutely.
Stuff.
Absolutely. And it's something that you want. You're trying to build that trust with that dog.
Mm-hmm.
You want that dog to trust you, and you want that dog to love you, right? And you only can do that by showing them the love, right? Showing them the praise. One of the things that they teach us in the dog training, one of the first things you do, by the way, you guys don't know, when you first start training with a dog, you don't actually work with a dog. They give you an ammo can and a leash. That's how you start in the military. Yeah. I'm dead serious. If I can find a picture of me, I'll find them and I'll show you guys. There's a picture of me. It's a hilarious picture of me, like scolding an ammo can, like saying
ammo
no.
Can?
Yes, they was like, no, sit. And I'm telling them the can. It's not a dog. It's an actual ammo can. No, sit. That's how they teach you how to give the commands. So I say all that to say, one of the things we had to work on was our voice, right? There's a difference between no and hey, good girl. Like, you had to work. There's a difference because the way the dog's ears work, higher pitch means happy. I'm doing something good. I've done something great. Lower pitch means I did something bad. I did something wrong. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So there's a correction coming. So they teach you how to work on your voice. So I say all that to say that when you're building this rapport with the dog, right, you have to remind yourself of those things. So while I'm rubbing the belly, while I'm playing with the dog, I have my voice is higher because I want this to be a memorable thing, right?
Yeah.
But yes, building that sort of rapport, that connection with the dog, it's vital to your training. That dog has to want to be up under you. That dog has to want to. You should have to kick that dog out the bed, because that dog wants to get up in the bed with you all the time.
Yeah.
You should have, those should be your problems. And dog should always want to be up under you, and from a sense of, I'm safe here, I trust them, but also I'm here to protect you too.
Yeah. And do you oftentimes find the dogs, like when let's say if you're resting or laying with the dog, they lay at your feet? Mine always wants to lay at my feet, like cover my feet up as if to say, like, they're protecting me, like, at all times, even though
not the feet. They want to lay in my lap. Now imagine this 80, 85, 100-pound German Shepherd that doesn't want to lay on your feet, because I can deal with feet. No, they want to lay on your lap.
Wow.
Because that's how comfortable they get, right? They want to be right up. They want to be right up under you.
Wow.
Even when I'd be driving the cruiser. I'd be driving the cruiser, and they would because it was open in the back.
Right.
They would put their paws up on the center console, and they're like licking your face, and like, you're like, come on, I'm trying to drive here, you know what I mean? And they love on you. These dogs really do love you, especially when you put them in a training situation, because again, they want to work, and there's a benefit for them because there's always toys and playing. There's some dogs that don't want food. They don't want the treat. You know what their reward is? You break out the Kong, play with me with the Kong. That's my reward. And I'm happy there.
Right.
Throw the Kong. I'm gonna go chase the Kong, and I'm gonna bring it back to you, and we're gonna play. That's my reward. So it's vital to when those teams, and I would even say even in your home now, it's vital that you have that sort of relationship with your dog, just even in your home. Your dog should be very comfortable being up under you.
Yeah.
And should want to be up under you. If you get up and walk into another room and your dog's not following you to the other room, you might not be as tight as you think you are. You know what I mean? Or if you go upstairs and the dog doesn't come upstairs after 2 or 3 minutes, just say, hey, what are you doing? You didn't come back downstairs. You left me downstairs.
Right.
You might not be as close as you think you are.
Wow. That's something.
Mine is always right behind me. Last question I got for you, Trey. Now, when you give up a dog, did you ever feel like, man, I miss that dog? And like because I know it was so many you probably give up over a dozen probably in your career.
For sure.
Yeah.
The last 2 dogs I had, I take it back. The last 3 dogs I had, I didn't want to give them up. The drug dog I had, Kiera. I had a long-haired German Shepherd, by the way. His name was Jerry. He looked like Mufasa. We used to call him Mufasa. He looked like Mufasa. I have some pictures. I'll see if I'll give them to y'all. Y'all can look at them. We used to have to take we call them death pictures. Probably shouldn't call them those, but in the military you call them death pictures, or in the police force you call them death pictures, because that's the picture they're going to show if something happens to you. But when you're canine handler, you take the picture with the dog. And so he looked like Mufasa. And then the dog I told you guys about, Zoltan. I definitely didn't want to leave Zoltan because that was my homie. You know what I mean? Like I was like, when I found out I was getting stationed in Turkey, I was like, no. And I was trying to get them to do a swap, because you can take the dog with you if they swap the dogs. So I was calling Turkey and saying, don't you guys want to swap a dog? And they were like, no, we love our dogs here. We're not swapping any dogs. And I was like, come on. It's like, you really want to bring that dog with him? Like, you guys don't understand. This is the homie right here. Like, this is my
That's
man.
Your boy.
Yeah, this is my boy right here.
That's
you know what I mean? Like
I totally understand that.
We've been through it. You know what I mean? You got to remember, we went to Iraq together. We lived together in the same hut for 9 months. Like, this is my homie. You know?
That's it. That's
so yeah. No, you get it. You have to be a cold, heartless person to not get attached to a dog that you work with. You gotta remember, every day I work with this dog. Every day I go to work, I'm going to go get my dog.
Yeah.
Even on my off days when I would go do training, what am I doing? Going to go get my dog. So you're attached to this dog. If people actually would be weirded out if they saw you in uniform without your dog, they would ask, "Where's your dog?" Because they get so used to seeing the two of you together.
Right. Someone just asked a real quick question: where is Zoltan today? Is the dog still alive, or? I
have no idea. I would hope he's on a farm somewhere. I hope. I mean, he's retired now, so.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like I said, I had an opportunity to get him, but I was just going through some things in my life, or else I would have got him. Awesome. And I tell people all the time, there are dogs that are in the military that don't make it through the detection portion of the training, and they have no use for the dog at that point. Like, they don't know what to do with them, so they have a whole adoption program for these German Shepherds. So, and I believe last I checked, all you have to do is just pay for shipping. But the dog's essentially free, because there's nothing they can do with the dog. The dog.
Right. And they do like they do the ID, the tags, and the spay neutering. They do all that stuff. Yeah. But the dog passed obedience, but didn't pass detection, and so they have no use for the dog. As I said, if I wanted to go get a dog, I would just call. I'm a former handler, so I'm in the system, so I can just call down there and say, hey, I'd like to get a German Shepherd. And you're getting good dogs. They're well taken care of. They got the best health care. They got vets on staff. Literally on standby, just in case. Yeah. So
I was told those dogs sometimes also get put through. They get transferred to a working dog, meaning like people who can't have back problems and stuff like that. And buddy mine has one of that. That's how I know.
That's absolutely true, Roman. Yep. If their obedience is good and their personality is good for it, they can actually get pushed into the working. You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. But that's true. That's very true. Yeah.
A buddy of mine who's been shot a couple of times in Iraq, and he's pretty fucked up. And he tells the dog, "Go get me a beer." He opens the fridge, grabs the beer, brings them to him. I'm like, "You lazy motherfucker!" I go to him. He turns off the lights. He can dial 911 with his nose off his phone. I'm like, "Shit, this is like."
That's amazing.
Yeah, we used to have to do a bunch of hospital visits. Oh, I once had to. We once all got called in to go search a Six Flags. Crazy story. A royal family from they said Saudi Arabia, but I don't think it was Saudi Arabia. But a royal family was at the Six Flags in New Jersey. That's where I was stationed in New Jersey, and somebody called in an explosive threat, and so they literally called every handler within a 30-mile radius to come. And of course, I wound up being one of them, and I was on duty that day. And I just remember the E8 tray came to me and was like, "You're going to Six Flags." And I was like, "Okay, great. I'll go change." All right, I didn't want to work today anyway. He's like, No. You're going to go work. Take your dog with you and go to Six Flags. I was like, "What?" Imagine you taking your dog and you're searching the Superman ride and the Mind Eraser ride and the concession stand. You're walking around Six Flags with it but nothing came of it. But yeah, you know, listen, they've shown that even women find men with animals more attractive because it shows a certain side of who you are. They encourage guys on dating profiles to show a picture with your dog. Show a picture with your dog because it sends a certain message to the women. There is something about, I don't know what it is about, I don't like cats at all, but there's something about a dog, and when you get a dog that loves you and wants to protect you, there is just a crazy bond there. It just really is a crazy bond. Even with the dog we had to get rid of, Jet, you know, I was attached to him. I really did not want to get rid of him. We had nowhere for him to go. I was like, what do we do? And then, you know, I didn't want to pay $15, you know, twice a day to have somebody come walk the dog. That can add up eventually.
Right. Yeah. All right. So we're getting our final thoughts in, Brother Trey Ferg. Again, any final thoughts? One thing I did like before you get started, you might speak to this. You did talk about the dog's ability to observe, and how do you think that may play out in the dating pool? So in other words, can you know? So again, if you meeting this woman, if your dog is giving you that you know, is that a red flag that you should probably turn the other way? Just like dog trying to tell you, homie, she ain't one. So you know, any thoughts on that? But Trey, if you want to start with your final thoughts, and we'll go around, we'll close out the show.
I mean, you know, that's a whole nother rabbit hole as far as dogs equating to understanding your possible mate that you may choose, but it's really something to look at. The dog's behavior around the woman that you're trying to vet for a possible mate, even for the women, you know, you got to look at that. How is the dog going to behave? Of course, the dog is going to have an adjustment period with a new person coming into that space, because dogs will protect their home space just by nature. But eventually, if they can find something good, they'll keep their eye on them, but they'll calm a little bit down. So, you know, but I do think, you know, as far as something like this, I think dogs are vital for men, you know, and understanding a little bit about their current side and just being more attentive to, you know, people. You know, of course, dogs are not people, but, you know, dogs pretty much follow your lead. And it goes to show a little bit about your character if you can have some compassion for animals and things like that. Now, a certain type of woman, she don't want no part of a pet. So, you know, you got to be looking out for that. But, you know, this is always a good thing to get about. Well, talk about things that men do. We do dogs, we do outside, we do stuff like that. So, you know, it's always good to have that space and know that you're not the only one to think the way you do when it comes to certain topics and certain aspects about being a man. So, you know, these are always good. I just wish, you know, we can get those younger brothers before they go bald up here, you know, more of them, and just open up about some of their vulnerabilities and just being a man, because, you know, we need the support for each other regardless. You know, I appreciate Grooming, you know, being brave enough to embrace his black side, you know. It is what it is, man. We give y'all honorary citizenships over here. We give them to you, you know. But it takes a brave person to do that, man. So, you know, it's always good, man. You know, and I'll say this about Trey. You know, hey, we were like those two German shepherds meeting at first, man. You know, we was gnawing at each other, but then I heard Trey. He come on over, man. He regurgitates some of the things I said, because, you know, once he see, like, man, shit, I'm doing what I gotta do. Everybody else can do it, and regardless, we make it happen, man. It's no love lost, man. You know, I take it all with a grain of salt, man. It's all good, man. We're gonna keep doing it. And Trey, when you get 55 like me, man, hey, man, you're gonna be like, man, y'all need to get that shit together.
Wait, Trey,
I appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate
no, Grooming, I'm not even 40 yet. So stop it.
Trey, did you have a final? Yeah,
thought? You know, listen. If any fellas, I would encourage you, if you do have a dog. One of the things that I always missed, I would go on a long walk with my dog. I mean long, 2 hour long walk. For me, there was always something therapeutic and cathartic about just being out in nature with your dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got your water bottle. And it's just you and your dog hanging out. You know what I mean? So, if you have a dog, think about doing that. Think about going on one of those, super long walks.
Yeah.
Super long walks, and just hang out with your dog. And if you have a view somewhere, you can go, sit down and go to the view and just relax. There's something very therapeutic. As men, we deal with our problems differently than women do. We're just different, right?
Yeah.
One of my stress relievers was always going to go hang out with my dog. That was always fun to me. I could always go on the backside of the base somewhere, where nobody was really at, and we could just go hang out. It's the first time I ever saw a wolf, too, by the way. But when I was stationed in Alaska. But we could just go hang out and just go kick it. And so there's a positive to having a dog in the sense of it can help you in your mental space. The dogs can help you in your mental space if you do it properly. So, but dogs, I saw somebody, Lady Novola, dogs are good. They really are. I don't have anything negative to say about dogs. When dogs are treated well, when dogs are loved, they are the most loyal creature I have ever seen. They are willing to give their life for you and for that family. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a matter of how you treat that dog versus how the dogs are being treated. Appreciate y'all having me.
Appreciate you being here. Appreciate it. Grooming?
Dogs are the best thing in the world. That's the best way I can put it. If it wasn't for my dog, Hercules, Alexander, who knows what the next one I'm going to name. When I can convince somebody I can get a second dog. Just saying. But dogs are great. Seriously, I was joking aside. Dogs are great. I don't care if he's a working dog, a military dog, a police dog, a chill dog, a therapy dog. Any kind of dog you can have, spend time with it. I spend time at least 2-3 hours every day with my dog. Playing, rubbing his tummy. He has a habit. When I stop petting him, he puts his paw on my shoulder like, dude, you're not done. I tell you when you're done.
That's
I'm
right.
like, are you serious, dude? But Alexander is great. I'll leave it at that. So
awesome.
Paul, my
awesome.
brother.
Well, again, definitely, again, totally impromptu tonight. Just again, a reminder to everyone. Next week, we're taking a break for the Super Bowl again, but join us this Wednesday on the Sports Show on BMU where we have our Super Bowl picks. Trey, you're more than welcome to join that show also if you want to have a pick for the show, and we chop it up a little bit as we get our picks in. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and again, the show in a couple of weeks we're going to be dealing with the subject of religion through grooming. He had one of his Greek Orthodox fathers going to be with us. We're just going to have a general conversation on religion, especially from the Greek Orthodox view. So definitely looking forward to that the conversation. But this was totally impromptu as far as the dog conversation. But I would say this about dogs. In fact, I watched a documentary once, and they said basically humanity would not be where it is without dogs. Like we used to be hunter-gatherers, and what dogs allowed us to do is it allowed us to go from hunter-gatherer to agrarian, because we could train these dogs to protect our flocks of sheep and goats and herding and whatnot. That really helped to expedite the growth and development of human beings moving to a more structured society. And just from a personal level, just what dogs do for you. Trey already mentioned as far as just the therapeutic nature of it, how dogs really help you connect really with your emotions, the stress relief. Like I said, I go to my mom's nursing home now, and they want owners to bring their dogs in to sit with the patients and the senior citizens that are there. They're such help to people. In fact, they the same organization I got my dog through, they have a section for police officers and firefighters to come in. They bring the dogs in for therapy to help these men coming off these stressful jobs and situations and whatnot, so they can get some relief there. So they add so much value to our lives. And certainly I have concerns about overbreeding of certain dogs, especially pits. When we're looking at for dogs, one of the saddest things I saw was you can go to any kennel in your town that has dogs, and 80% of the dogs that are there are some sort of pit or pit mix. So I definitely think there's a lot going on with these, with the breeding of certain dogs. They, it's cool to have them, and you only have them for a minute, then you can get rid of them, and they wind up in those kennels, and then they wind up, ultimately being, euthanized. So I certainly think we need to do things with that. But if you have an environment to raise a dog, especially a rescue, I'm not one to pay $3,000-$4,000 for a purebred dog, but rescues. Again, you'll be doing so much for the animals. And the place that we went through, not only did we adopt our dog, but they also make room for the new dog to come in so they can be fostered and whatnot and ready for the next person. So, So yeah, so on this show, we're all dog lovers here. So, that's something, ladies, for a lot of us, if you can't love dogs, I don't know, we're the right brothers for you. But
real funny story is one of my dogs pissed on my ex-girlfriend because he didn't like her. So
that's well, there you go. Like I said, sometimes
they know.
They're the biggest evaluators, so they'll tell you some stuff.
Mr. Ben, I want to say real quick, because you mentioned about where our society would be. I was watching Gladiator, is my favorite movie. I was watching Gladiator, and you remember in the first scene, there's a dog that's running with him. When he's going to the next position, there's a dog that's running with them. And so dogs have always been around to help help us build a society. And like you said, to help protect. When we went away, they left the dogs. When the men went away, they left the dogs to protect the women and the family. So I just thought about that. I was like, oh, that's right. There is a dog in this movie.
Yeah. No, there are greatest domestication product. Dogs and horses arguably are the two greatest success stories in terms of domestication that has benefited humanity so much. So, so we're definitely dog advocates here, dog safety, protection, proper care for your dogs. It is a sacrifice, but again, from what you get from it, is something that could be well worth it under the right circumstances. But again, I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you to the panel once again. Definitely. The panel's undefeated. Appreciate you guys coming out. Shout out to the 7B Network again. Grooming. I'm asking you still have that invitation to come back and join us at any time, brother. You're always welcome.
Yeah. But before we go,
yes,
gotta give props to BMU and CBN back there doing all this hard work.
Yes.
And I challenge BMU to stop by on Wednesday in my show. Maybe he can put his side of it. That's saying.
There you go.
Yeah, after you guys done your talk on the sports, jump in mine.
I may hop over. Yeah, after our sports show, your show's at what time?
8:30. I'm shooting for. So we're talking about a history of dating this weekend. So this on Wednesday, excuse me. So when we're talking about history of dating, I will send invites for both of your trays, and I'll send yours. And I'll send BMU because I kind of want to see his point of view of some things.
That's funny. I was just having a conversation today about I think dating is overrated, and we need to get rid of it.
For real. All right. So again,
I'll be happy to hear your point of view.
We'll definitely make sure to tune in. And again, so for all the kind that's going on in the space, again, we're trying to create a positive environment where we can have this kind of discussion, just open mic and just be free. And we got to for everyone, for the work week coming up, have a great week, and go out there with a good and positive energy. And again, try to find the gray areas that are between people. I mean, we're so divided in this country in so many different things, but again, we're human beings at the end of the day. There's always common ground that we can find with our neighbors and whatnot if we simply just ask the questions and don't be afraid to have the conversations. So again, for Grooming and Reviews, I'm Mr. Bennett. For Trey and Trey Ferg, this is the gray area. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute, work hard for the car, so that's why it's all tinted. Wait a minute, had a real late night, woke up with my head spinning out Nashville. It's been mad real, I need sunglasses, I need Advil. I like fake moves, and my cash real. I like first place, you're in last still. Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.
Look, pocket rocket in my pocket, please don't make me pop it. All these boys just wanna copy the style, tell them niggas stop it. Whoa, this my destiny, feeling like Latoya, like it found me my Beyonce, and she shotgun in the cockpit. Grinding with the team, making C notes. In my pocket still full of green, call it CeeLo. Alligator watch on me, Tim.